across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good afternoon to you. Just gone 4 o'clock. What day is it? It's Tuesday. We're live across the United Kingdom. Welcome to Drive. As we say, yesterday, most of us were, of course, at the funeral for the late, great James Whale, and he would have loved it. If you're just tuning in now, it was a fantastic celebration of the most incredible talent, an icon and a beacon, and we said goodbye to him, sadly, but with many a raised glass and many a smile. Thank you to Petri yesterday. So we're on with Drive Time here until 7 o'clock, whatever you want to talk about. Oh, my God, what am I going to... I've got so much I want to say to you. So I will start by saying... Faith will take your calls, and if I was you, I'd get it really early because it's going to be madness today. 0344 499 1000, 0344 499 1000. Don't forget, use that number via the WhatsApp thingamajig. I don't understand how it works thing. And send Ryan a WhatsApp message, 0344 499 1000. Keep the text coming throughout the show. 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Ryan, I'll give you a number 1, 2, or 3. What should we start with? Number 1, number 2, or number 3? Number 2, ladies and gentlemen, is, and this is a genuine fact, and if you are driving home after a hard day's work, if you just got back from the school run, if you sat there, whatever you're doing, just take stock. Why did you bother going to work? Migrants who crossed the channel are lining up for massive compensation from the Home Office are apparently being unlawfully detained in inhumane conditions. When they came over here, they broke into our country illegally, but because they put them into an asylum processing system at Manston, there are now left-wing human rights lawyers being paid for by us who are going to take the Home Office to court and try and get compensation for the illegal migrants who came here and had to suffer so badly. I don't know about you. There are things that every week send me to the sky and above. That is one of them. We are actually going to potentially have to pay illegal migrants compensation for being held in detention centres, despite the fact that they entered our country illegally. Lately, afterwards, we put them in hotels and we put them, gave them freebies. But because it was so difficult initially, we're going to have to give them compensation. Sod the electorate, by the way, rather, sod the taxpayers who have worked hard, sod everybody who's been and done everything right and can't get anything. No, break into a country illegally and we'll look after you. And if we weren't nice to you from the first moment you arrive, we'll give you some compensation. The world's gone nuts. Well, no, the world's not gone nuts. The United Kingdom's gone completely bloody nuts. 0344 499 1000. We'll update you, by the way, the breaking news in the Middle East, of course. Israel's launched a strike targeting senior Hamas officials in Doha, in Qatar, of course. That has played out. We're going to talk about Prince Harry, who's in England. He was 7 miles away from his brother yesterday. Not a chance of a reconciliation. The royal editor, Robert Jobson, and Kinsey Schofield on that. The BBC have said... what is wrong with the BBC, Ryan? Tim Davie said he's not mucking around and he's big to clear out sexual harassers and abusers. And he said... To be honest with you, I can't guarantee that there won't be more scandals. Why didn't you do it before the papers got hold of it then? What are we paying our money for? BBC scandals, right? We're getting used to it. And then they tell us how we should think. 0344 499 1000. And I know it's only October, peeps. No, so is it September? We're getting near Panto season, certainly in the Labour Party. You might have heard, I mean, you'll have known by now, poor Ange. She's gone off. We're not sure where. Maybe Hove, maybe Manchester. Hasn't worked out which house to go to. The job of Deputy Prime Minister is up for grabs. And what's really interesting is patently the left is about to absolutely to try and destroy Starmer. They're all fighting amongst themselves because the role of Deputy Prime Minister needs to go to, somebody said this morning, needs to go to somebody on the left to keep balance within the Labour Party. So far, there's been 6 or 7, but the interesting ones are, of course, Lucy Powell, sacked last week of Leader of the House of Commons. She doesn't like Starmer. Bridget Phillipson, still the Education Secretary, but lost half of her brief to Pat, I'm not very interesting, McFadden, so she's got beef with Starmer. And Emily Thornberry, who hates anybody who holds a flag or drives a white van. She, of course, got completely spurned by him, having spent 5 years in the shadow cabinet. So you wonder whether they're going to start destroying themselves from within. That's our government. Such fun. 0344 499 1000. Now, I've always been respectful to the guests on this show, but the last time I saw my first guest this afternoon was in a rather nice champagne party, and she was berating the fact that her partner had booked a hotel or a B&B about an hour away. Poppy Coburn, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You make my life sound much more luxurious than it actually is.
I honestly, you went, this is an absolute nightmare. And then I got dragged off somewhere else. This is at the Reform Party conference we were at on Friday night. It was lovely. It was great. It was lovely to see you. But did you make it home? Was everything okay? I woke up on Saturday morning and thought, oh, God, what about PC?
I made it home, but my wallet is a lot lighter. I will say those Birmingham cab drivers, they do like charging you plenty of money.
What, to go 43 minutes?
Don't.
You were seething, mate, weren't you?
Awful. I'm still financially recovering.
Oh, bless you. Listen, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you on. What did you actually, I'm going to ask, because I was there working in an official capacity, but what did you make of the Reform Party conference? There's sort of been different sort of responses across the airwaves and in newspapers. What was your take?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it felt like what Tory conference used to be like before it was taken over by just lobbyists. And I always think the most important thing with these places, if you go around and you talk to the people there and you get a read of who the average person there is. At the Labour Party, it's someone called Keir, someone in a suit, or a trade unionist. At the Conservative Party, well, it's not really people anymore. It's who remains of the MPs. And again, people in seats, lobbyists. With Reform, it was party members. And they were really enthusiastic. They come from all over the place. So I'll be honest with you, I was pretty impressed by it. I thought they did a very good job.
Snap. Listen, I came in today with renewed vigour after the sadness of yesterday, James Wells's funeral, and I thought to myself, no, today we'll have a day of celebration. And then I read that illegal migrants could soon be entitled to compensation. Left-wing human rights laws paid for by you and me are going to take the Home Office to court because when I know you broke in illegally, Mr. Migrant, or actually Mr. Migrant, let's be honest, but we do understand that you were held in quite inhumane conditions in a detention centre rather than being given a hotel, a four-star hotel straight away. And we got there in the end. So you're going to sue us, and we're going to pay for you to sue us, and then we'll probably have to give you compensation. I mean, I say this with a straight face. What the hell sort of message does that send to British people who are in the middle of a shift and are working all day? It's a joke, man.
Well, Jeremy, you have to remember there are very strong disincentives to come to the UK. You know, you arrive here in a small boat, you are, after 48 hours in processing, immediately taken to probably a luxury hotel. All of your basic needs are provided for. You can get a job on the side that no one's actually regulating, delivering food and make a nice bit of extra cash. Oh, and if you don't like the lodgings enough, don't worry, you can just see the British state. I mean...
I don't know. I would never ask you how old you are. You're patently a lot younger than me. But how did we seriously get... For people my age, Poppy, you look at that and you go, sorry, this is madness to the extreme. We've got to a point where we are literally trading financially, morally and in every other way everything about our own people to wipe the backsides of people who shouldn't be here in the first place.
The thing is, it's no longer justifiable. I think for many years, people were able to browbeat anti-migration activists by saying, you're mean, you're mean, you're an extremist, you're on the outside. Well, now everyone actually knows what's going on. Yeah. They know the amount of money that's being spent. They know how unfair it is. You're just presenting the facts of the case. No one can defend it. Even the government can't defend this. Even the government is coming sheepishly and saying, oh, well, it wasn't my fault, Governor. It started under the Tories. It was the Manston Processing Centre in Kent. It wasn't on us. It's not our fault. But they're not actually doing anything to stop this set of conditions being set up in the first place. The lawyers just want a payout, of course, as usual.
That's appalling.
But someone's got to carry the bag for this. It's unacceptable. We're going to have to pay hundreds of millions of pounds.
I meet more and more people every single day who say, please, you and Mikey, whatever, you just don't give this up. This is too goddamn important. I'm talking about average, everyday people who quite rightly, probably in your mind, you're right, 10 years ago couldn't have even mentioned the word immigration for fear of being called every name under the sun, but who are actually able to stand up and say, I'm not racist, I'm not bigoted, there's nothing wrong with me, but I cannot understand why I'm doing everything right and paying in compensation for people who broke into my country illegally, right? Illegally, because apparently it wasn't nice. Let's have a look at what the new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, said about protecting Britain's borders. Oh, God. This is her first interview since taking the job. Have a watch and a listen, peeps.
I'm 3 days into the job. I have a very strong foundation to build on. Yvette Cooper, my predecessor, had real success in getting returns to 35,000. I think that was a real step change from the terrible inheritance we had from the previous Conservative government. And of course, she was able to strike that landmark deal with the French. That's an international binding treaty between us and the French government. And of course, it's not for us to comment on the domestic political affairs in France, but we will be looking looking to, of course, continue with the treaty that we have agreed. But that is a strong foundation for me to build on as the new Home Secretary. I will be looking to go further and faster because I am very clear I have one top priority in this job, and that is to secure the borders. I will do whatever it takes. And for those who've worked with me already in government and in my previous brief, I think people can tell I'm not the sort of person that hangs around.
Poppy, the question is this, whether Shabana Mahmood is good to her word or not, because it seems to me a consistent stream of politicians have used platitudes and not come up with the answers. She's speaking a good fight. Is she the woman for the job? And if it's so important to Labour now, why wasn't it 12 months ago when they came to power saying they'd smash the gangs?
Well, completely. And also, Shabana Mahmood, I think by all accounts, she is one of the more talented Labour ministers. I know that's not exactly a high bar, but the point is, even if she is very good in the Home Office and she tries to get these things through, she tries to galvanise the civil servants to actually do their job, if she's not backed to the hilt by the Prime Minister, who gets legislation through Parliament to actually fix these problems, it's a complete waste of time. You may as well have a cabbage in charge of the Home Office. She herself cannot change the laws that create these sorts of ridiculous situations. So I want a bit of honesty from Keir Starmer. He's got to take ownership of this. Stop shuffling the chairs around. You have to take ownership of this. It's the #1 polling issue in the country right now.
And isn't that interesting? Because I've been saying this for months and months, and people say, no, immigration isn't. Yes, it absolutely is. Listen to this. Margaret, Shabana Mahmood should get down to Dover and watch another 500 or more migrants invade our country on a daily basis. Of course they will get compensation. They get everything given on a plate. When will this madness stop? And that's the truth. And I think that people, I mean, I've said it every week and I'll continue to say it. I think people have always behaved correctly and done the right thing. I just think now people are feeling they're having the mickey taken out of them. Whether Shabana Mahmood's any good or not, the importance of the borders is as bad now as it's ever been. Listen to this. Mark says, instead of a usual weather forecast, how about a daily migrant crossing forecast? It'll be high today with little wind, but the rest of the week it'll be a little too windy for them to make the trek. We're a laughing stock, Poppy, and people just say to me, they said to me at the Reform conference, they go, we're the laughing stock of the world now.
Yeah.
We really are.
Well, we've had so many people crossing over just today. For the first time in 5 years, there has been a boat that's managed to cross over without being escorted. There were too many people crossing the channel for the RNLI to actually stop the boats.
Don't get me on the RNLI.
Now. The government's had a year.
Don't get me on the RNLI. My old girl used to volunteer for them for 20 years. She'd be turning in her grave. They've become a migrant taxi service.
Well, a taxi service.
They have become a migrant taxi service, and they look at you when you say that and they go, oh, this is absolutely outrageous. So we'd love your response to this, peeps. 0344 499 1000. Channel migrants who broke into our country illegally could now get compensation from us using left-wing lawyers paid for by us to take money from us because it's been so difficult for them. You know, in the week or months or whatever that they were in a detention centre, that was really, really against their human rights. What a load of old tosh. Let's talk about rats and ships and stuff like that. The Labour Party, I mean, we sit and we watch this debacle of a government, right? And we know, phase 2 was Monday. By Wednesday, that was all over because Angela couldn't add up. She's gone. The importance about Angela Rayner for almost where Starmer was that she was the sort of the bridge between the left wing. She was a trade union lady. She was the voice of, workers' rights and all that sort of madness. And it sort of kept a lid on it. They're all coming out the woodwork now, though, because the deputy leader... I noticed that Starmer said it won't guarantee a place at the cabinet table. A variety of very interesting candidates have already shown their hand. They have to have 80 nominations. I don't know Belle Ribeiro Addy. I don't know Paula Baker, but what I find really interesting is Dame Emily Thornberry, she who doesn't like white middle-class men waving a flag, she has entered the contest saying that they need to listen more. This is a woman who was in the shadow cabinet for about 50 years and got completely and utterly done over by Starmer, so she patently hates him. That would be a good appointment. We've got Lucy Powell sacked last week as the leader of the House of Commons, that revolting human being who said... What was it she said? Dog whistle politics when talking about the Rotherham gangs to Tim Montgomery. And also, who's the other one? Oh, yes. Bridget Phillipson, old happy face at the edge. She's had half of her power given to Pat McFadden. So there's 3 of the biggest names who have patently got an axe to grind with Starmer. So let's get one of them in and the whole thing will fall like a house of cards, won't it?
That's amazing. I mean, it's a real brains trust that you've been put forward. I mean, Phillipson, so funny when she announced she was running for her deputy leadership candidacy. She said, this is how she described herself. I'm a working class woman from a humble background. I don't know about you, but if I was a minister in my 40s with years of government experience, I would like to, I don't know, mention my government experience.
Yeah.
If you're still relying on where you were when you were 5 years old, that doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Then we've got Emily Thornberry, who's best known now for getting passed over for a job in the cabinet. So she's just got an axe to grind against Starmer, although I would love to see the inside of the room if she's elected to become Deputy Party Leader. And
But
Starmer
I mean,
walks
all
in
of
and goes,
them...
oh, hello, Emily.
Any of those three spell trouble, like he needs any more. And also Lucy Powell, who she made that appalling... I mean, she's... Oh, what clip have we got? Tell me what clip we got. Oh, we got... Now, this is what Lucy Powell... Well done, Ryan. It's on the money. This is what Lucy Powell, as the then Leader of the House of Commons, said to Tim Montgomery about the Rotherham gangs. Have a listen to this. Watch.
I don't know whether you saw the documentary on Channel 4 about rape gangs over
No,
this.
we want to blow that little trumpet now, do we? Yeah, okay.
There was a real issue where...
Let's get that dog whistle out, shall we? Yeah.
How I still to this day cannot believe that was Lucy Powell, sacked as the Leader of the House of Commons, now standing to be Deputy Prime Minister. When Tim Montgomery, Poppy, brought up the horrors of the rape gang, she said, oh, that's just dog whistle politics. I mean...
What are the odds that she calls herself a feminist as well?
Does she? Yeah.
I'm sure she does.
Now, I can't... Listen, the reason I so detest this government, I'd love any of those three to get the job, because it will make it even more impossible for dreary Starmer to continue. You, again, were at Reform, and this was widely reported. Nigel Farage has told his supporters that he thinks there could be a general election as early as 2027. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the sooner the Labour Party are out, the better, I think. You know, I was pretty impressed with how Reform managed to pull the conference together so quickly. If they can bring even a tenth of that organisation now to government, they'll still be doing a better job than Starmer.
Mark said,
and I think the government needs to smarten up.
I'll give you this, Nigel Farage, from Mark in Manchester. Let's just set the fine for breaking into this country at £1 million. Any compensation they receive has to go towards that fine. And if they do get to stay, they've got to pay it back. That's interesting. I wouldn't have them in. So, listen, the other things today we want to talk to you about. We've talked about the deputy leadership, talked about migrants. BBC can't rule out more scandals. As every day, I mean, everybody knows there's you know, the BBC and me. Tim Davie has insisted he's not mucking around that he's big to clear out sexual harassers and abusers, but couldn't promise the final pervert has been outed and punished. Facing MPs, the DG admitted we may see more things coming out because in some ways I'm asking for it. And being utterly transparent and running towards the problem, that's what we need to do. So a bit like the government, we better sort out the migrant crisis now. So that the BBC has been on and on. We've been on and on at the BBC for months, years. Everybody has. Get your house in order. You know, you're getting 170 quid per person. It's an absolute flipping disgrace. Only now he's going, there's probably more rubbish to come. Unbelievable.
Well, at least we know where we're going to get the story from. It will be the BBC presenter presenting about another BBC presenter having another scandal. So we can look forward to that and more archive footage having to be binned because yet another BBC presenter has got in hot water. I mean, look, the other thing he said during this is we need to reach out to Reform voters. You know, OK, we need to reach out to a Reform audience by continually dismissing their concerns, playing down the main issues of the day, like immigration, and what Labour is doing with something like a wealth tax, for example, and all in all making programmes that nobody actually wants to watch. So,
did he actually say that? Davey said he's got to reach out.
He did actually. He said he has to reach out to Reform voters because they're becoming a bigger segment of society. I mean, good luck with that.
The thing is, and you know, I'm a broadcaster first and foremost. I went there and I presented it as a presenting job. But you do have to think, if you're me and you're looking at it and you're thinking to yourself, hold on a second, the institutions in this country, what's the right word? Rana pushed the dump button. They are pooping themselves, aren't they? You can see politically, institution-based as well. They're all going, we've slagged him off for... He couldn't. Oh, my God, he might. Oh, gee, how are we going to do that? I love that. There was one article about Nigel Farage at the weekend that made me absolutely wet myself. When somebody said, they're going to come for you now. Are you ready? He said, they're going to ask me if I've gambled, smoked, womanised a bit in the old days, have I like a pint. He went, yeah, all four. Yeah. But I, personally, I don't know what you think, I'm sick and tired of fake... squeaky clean politicians who then get found out in months later that they've stolen a phone or had a rent boy tie them up. Or what? I'm being completely serious. I think we're past all that rubbish. I think we want politicians, male and female, I don't care which party they come from, who will tackle what needs tackling and will take the flack that will come their way.
Yeah, also, nobody has been more scrutinised in public life than Nigel Farage. I mean, literally, for 20 years, they have been going through his bins. They've been every single thing the man's ever said in public, everyone he's ever spoken to. I mean, if they could have dug out a scandal on him to stop him from becoming Prime Minister, you could bet all the money you have that they would do so. And I think the fact that they can't come up with anything better than the man likes to drink, it tells you a lot about the state of how worried they are.
I agree wholeheartedly. We love having you on. Before you go, 30 seconds just to wind Ryan up. This is absolutely brilliant, my friends. It's the best story of the day. 0344 499 1000. That complete toe rag, Ed Miliband, the net zero boss, right? I mean, have you read this story? Talk about hypocrisy. He's kept his gas boiler. He's still got a gas boiler. He refuses to switch to the green alternative. The Energy Secretary boasted back in February that he'd installed a heat pump in his house, but the Sun can reveal today that whilst his London home may be kitted out, he still relies on a gas boiler at his constituency property in South bloody Yorkshire. Do as I say, not as I do. They are all the same, Poppy, aren't they?
Well, next we're going to find out he's got a coal-burning fire, he's got a steam engine in his back garden, he's got an air conditioning unit that he never turns off. I mean, it's classic. Everyone else needs to tighten their belt. Oh, but not me, because I'm one of the good people. I'm one of the virtuous ones. So obviously when I do bad things, I'm beyond reproach. It's just classic.
I absolutely love when you come on here. It was great seeing you the other week, and I'm glad you got home. I'd send the bill. Do you know what I do? I'd send the bill for the taxi. I'd send it to the Labour Party. Lovely to have you on. Poppy Coburn, Deputy Content Editor at The Telegraph. Fantastic. 4:23. We're live across the UK. Good afternoon. It's Tuesday. It's drive time on Talk. Man came out to me in the supermarket this morning and said, keep going. I said to him, what, with me shopping? He went, no, with what you and the gang are doing on Talk, because you are speaking for people. What do you want to talk about? We'll get calls on, we'll get texts on 0344 499 1000. Back in 3.
Keir Starmer's first tweet today was about the, not today, it was first tweet yesterday. Tens of millions of phones were successfully sounded across the country during today's emergency alert test. Did your phone go off, Jacob?
No, of course it didn't. I switched it off. It's all frightful nonsense. The problem with government warnings is that they'll be giving me a warning a moment that I'm standing in the sun and I should put sun cream on. They start well-intentioned and for major issues, and soon they warn you there'll be a gust of wind.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
About 4:28, there's a story circulating. It's not verified yet. We'll let you know that allegedly a woman has died after a small boat's rescue operation in the English Channel. We'll keep you updated on Talk. Rumours of a woman dying after a small boat's rescue operation in the English Channel. More when we get it. 0344 499 1000. The only number you need. Ryan Saby, Deputy Political Editor of The Sun, in a tick. First up, we're going to Liverpool. Carl, you're on Talk Drive. Couple of minutes. What you got, pal?
Good evening, Jezza. You all right?
Yeah, good man. What you got for me?
Yeah, it's just about the migrants now being able to sue us, and we pay the lawyers to do so, and also give them our hard-earned money.
What's wrong with that? It seems perfectly fair. If you think about it. If you break into a country illegally, right, and you get in illegally, and then you don't really get the hotel you want straight away, you have to live in a detention centre, I think it's only fair that you get some compensation. Honestly, I can't even keep a straight bleeding face. What's wrong with this world?
Oh, Jeremy, we live in a crazy time at the moment. But, you know, all this is going on around us, but we are seeing our communities completely change. You know, every day, and yet there's just, I mean, I don't know what to say, because every day it's the same day. We listen, we watch, and it's the same news every day. People are coming in.
Somebody said to me this morning about this story. Somebody said to me this morning, yeah, but you see, the rhetoric that you're using, Jez, is unfair, because a lot of these people are, and their families are leaving, you know, really, really terrible areas.
Yeah, but they're not, Jeremy. But can I just say is that if these men are successful in suing us and getting money, then why don't then we just go, okay, part of your claim and part of you suing us, when you sue us and you win, we will provide you with a plane ticket to this country. See you later, and escort them all.
Well, there's a point. If they were, listen, you can come to this country legally. I'm sick and tired of talking about safe routes. If you've got a legal reason, you wouldn't be coming on a bloody boat in the first place. And for this country to say, I mean, this is it, Jez. What is the point of working? Stephen Lincoln, my tax and other taxpayers' tax should be used for this country, not for illegal migrants. This is rubbish, and that is the point that I will forever make till they drag me out of this studio. I love the fact that Great Britain was always the leader, the moral leader in the world. But to all those commentators, and I'm not going to name them because I wouldn't give them credence, who keep going on and on and on about these poor people from persecuted areas. Get your asses out of London, right? Go up north, speak to hard-working, tax-paying people, right? And then look them in the face and go, no, honestly, these men, they're not, you know, they're not criminals. Their wives and kids are with them. You're lying. You're lying. In your quest to try and be whatever in the world, right, you are denying your own people what they have paid for, and it is morally wrong. Carl, thank you very much indeed. 4:30, we're live across the UK. We will bring you more on that breaking news story. Allegedly, a woman has died in the English Channel after a small boat's sort of rescue operation. We'll let you know as and when. Actually, we have it in. This has now been confirmed in a statement. Kent Police said it was made aware by the Coast Guard of an incident in the Channel involving a small boat just after 1 o'clock this afternoon. One woman was airlifted back to shore where she was pronounced dead. Deceased, police said. Officers are conducting inquiries to establish the circumstances surrounding that incident. So no, not too much detail, but small boat activity sparked a rescue operation in the English Channel. If that is somebody trying to get here, everybody will jump up and down. Let's just wait and see what that is, OK? We'll bring you more as it happens. 0344 499 1000. Jez, David in Rochester, please remind JK that the upcoming Labour Party election is for the post of Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, not the post of Deputy Prime Minister. Lammy has already got that job. God help us. David in Rochester, you're absolutely right. I'm crap. Beatrice in Hastings. I went there for a dirty weekend once and ended up in hospital. That's another story. Beatrice, I've just returned from France, staying with friends. Tomorrow they start a national protest strike to demand the women resign. Why did I do that? They want him gone and have lots of organised chaos in the pipeline. As they said to me, watch and learn. It's going to be this way for all of us. Jeez. 0344 499 1000. A very good afternoon to the Deputy Political Editor from The Sun, Ryan Saby. How are you, my friend?
Oh, well, Jeremy, good to speak to you.
We'll get more on that story that's breaking in the channel. I wanted to ask you actually also to start. Earlier today we heard that Israel has launched a strike targeting senior Hamas officials in Doha, the capital of Qatar. This is a different strategy. We'll talk a bit about this, but any response from our Prime Minister? Because it seems to have been responded to by almost everybody, but as usual, Sir Keir. What's going on?
Yeah, no, it seems at the moment that Downing Street are monitoring the situation. I think one thing that Downing Street wanted to make clear just at the lobby briefing to political journalists this afternoon is that they didn't know in advance. Now, I'm not sure whether maybe some people in sort of intelligence circles, there's some speculation whether America knew about this in advance, but it seems like there was no advance warning to Sir Keir Starmer, and the government were caught, well, I say caught on the hop. They just didn't know about it in advance. So they're monitoring the situation. But as you say, it is a different tactic.
They say they'll take out the Hamas leadership. We'll talk to Chris Parry about that after the news at 5, and we'll certainly, via the Sun and the news channels, will keep you updated any more on that. Ryan, good afternoon. Welcome to Tuesday. As the mad, mad world of the United Kingdom continues, you had your lovely summer holiday with your kids. You come back to work refreshed. You probably battled to get to work today because the tube drivers are on strike because they want 100%. But apparently, despite all the difficulties you've had and the tax you pay, it makes more sense in this country to break into the country illegally, get put in a horrible detention centre. It's not like a hotel, you know. I didn't have a mobile phone or anything. Had to put up with that for 4 weeks. And then you can use a lawyer paid for by you and me to sue you and me to get more money. We are becoming, Ryan Saby, a bloody laughing stock. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, no, it just shows that, people have been saying for years and years that this country is becoming a soft touch. And I think this just kind of proves that point. Any kind of concern, if you're an asylum seeker in one of these detention centres, you can find lots of reasons to sue the government and get compensation. It seems that the Home Office are not going to actually settle any of these claims. But I think one thing that goes to the nub of this is lots of these asylum seekers, the law they're using is the European Convention of Human Rights. And I think this is just going to put more and more pressure on the government to do something about that, whether it's to sort of change the guidance to judges. The government have said pretty clearly they're not going to pull out of this treatment, but this treaty. But something has to be done. It has to be done very, very quickly because patience is running thin.
It's really interesting that you say, and I agree with you. I don't have any other way. I spend every night thinking, how can you put this differently? But I do think that statement last week, somebody just sent a message, I don't know if I read it to you, but he said that, once the silent majority realise their voice can be heard, the government, whatever colour, is in trouble. And I think the pressure will come to bear. And I'm not saying, by the way, that the Tories didn't do a particularly good job at all. They could have moved with Rwanda much quicker. I guess it's easy for all the other parties to shout from the sides. But when you come to power saying we're going to smash the gangs, when you come to power saying you're going to do that, and a year in, you've got another Home Secretary who's speaking the right words this morning, but is it going to materialise? I think the British people, quite rightly, have absolutely run out of patience. Quick take on the Labour Party. Deputy leader bid. I made the mistake of saying Deputy Prime Minister. No, it's for the deputy leadership. My point is simply this. It seems to be a cartel of bitter women who Keir Starmer's either got rid of or ignored. Emily Thornberry, Lucy Powell, don't like her, Bridget Phillipson even, she said half a brief taken by Pat Interesting McFadden. It's going to be a nightmare for the Prime Minister if one of these three get another. Richard Bergen, that'd just make my afternoon. If he stood, that'd absolutely make me afternoon. But it signals even more trouble ahead for Starmer, because what Rayner was, she was the bridge between him and the unions and the workers, wasn't she?
Yeah, no, totally. And I think this is going to be the trouble if Emily Thornberry gets in. Now, I think probably the saving grace for Sir Keir Starmer is his preferred candidate is going to be Bridget Phillipson. I'm pretty certain she's going to get the 80 MPs that are needed to sort of get through to the next round. I can't see Emily Thornberry or maybe the others even reaching that 80. That vote may actually split. So it may be in a situation where we get to tomorrow, when the sort of votes close, when it comes to the MPs, that she may be sort of the only one standing. The left, or in this contest, really have to coalesce around one candidate to make sure they're in that sort of the final two or the final few candidates, and then there will be a real decent debate of someone on the left really going hell for leather at Sir Keir Starmer on his record, and then you'll have Bridget Phillipson and from the government trying to defend it. So it's going to be a fascinating contest if we get to that next stage.
So there's three more things, because the Sun always does all the right stuff. So the BBC, Tim Davie today, love the Sun's response to this. We got that clip of the Director General of the BBC. He basically said, "I'm trying to clean up the BBC. I know I've been promising to for 25 years, but I think you have to be standing by for more scandal." Have we got that clip, ladies and gentlemen? Can somebody wave at me or look at me? Yeah, we got it. Have a listen, right? Have a listen, people. See what you think. Tim Davie here.
Are you able to assure us today, are you able to give us your categorical assurance that whenever we next have you in front of us, there won't be a scandal of BBC talent abusing their position, which you need to apologise for?
We are seeing people call it out, and that is a positive change, but it's ongoing work. I don't think you can change culture in 6 months and suddenly say nothing's going to occur. We may see more things coming out, because in some ways I'm asking for it and being utterly transparent and running towards the problem. That's what we need to do.
Ryan, is it me, or are suddenly so many institutions in this country, whether it's the BBC or whether it's left-wing lawyers or whether... Are people beginning to look over their shoulder at the threat of Farage and think, God, I need to get my house in order? Because a bit like, Shabana Mahmood today saying, it's urgent. Well, it was urgent 12 months ago. It was urgent 36 months ago. None of you have done it. Now, apparently, Tim Davies suddenly worked out he should cleanse the BBC, for God's sake.
Yeah, there's some comments there to MP saying that he's not mucking about now when it comes to clearing out the BBC. But I think the one thing BBC chiefs will be really, really concerned about is that charter renewal, that big funding of around £3 billion every single year that they get. And if they don't sort themselves out, the public are, if they haven't already, going to turn against the BBC. And they're going to have less funding, and they'll have to look to maybe a part subscription model, and that's going to be even more difficult for the BBC to make programmes and sell their wares across the world. So the BBC are on a sort of countdown, really, to sorting it out.
Great piece of the Sun today, accusing Ed Miliband of hypocrisy because he's got a gas boiler rather than a green one. I should have done this at the beginning. Don't worry, Ryan, it's the 30-second story. Ladies and gentlemen, 2-for-1 entry to theme parks, including Legoland, is amongst the demands being made by striking tube drivers. London is gridlocked because these buggers want money that the government hasn't got. Even Sadiq Khan won't give them a pay rise, but they want 2-for-1 to Legoland. Somebody's taking a PISS out of us. Seriously, is that genuine?
Yeah, no, I believe so. I think there's part of their negotiations. They want, half-price days out, day trips to all these theme parks and attractions up and down the land. And one of those just happens to be Legoland. They've got some brass neck, these negotiators, going in there and actually asking for, half price.
When I hear stuff like that, I just think, you know what, I'm glad I'm 60 because it's going to the war. We love having you on, Ryan. Great job at The Sun. Thank you so much indeed. Ryan Staby, Deputy Political Editor for The Sun. So, welcome to the United Kingdom 2025. Welcome to Talk. If you came to this country illegally and you had to stay in a detention centre, you can just sue us now. We'll pay for your lawyer. Sue us because you probably want some compensation because it's hard. It's been hard for you. If you're a train driver, which is a lovely pay rise, you'd also like some free tickets to Legoland. If you don't agree with net zero, neither does the man trying to screw us over because he's also a gas boiler. I literally am going to headbang the bloody wall back in 3.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Morning Glory back at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I was listening this morning and he too completely and utterly gobsmacked by this story. In their negotiations with TfL, the tube strikers, the drivers, they're on strike. They're offered 3.5%. They want about 100%. They're a bunch, honest to God. They're also, right, talk about brass neck, quite agree with Ryan Staby. They want 2-for-1 entry to theme parks, including Legoland, amongst the demands that are being made. We're going to do industrial reaction. We'd like a few... Honestly, Ryan, you've done it again. You've wound me up. It's only 5:15. Oh, you'd like Legoland tickets? Would you like me to paint your bloody house? Take your kids for a haircut? What is wrong with people? The world has gone completely mad. Right, to Harrow. Herbie, you've got 2 minutes. Free Legoland passes for the RMT tube drivers. The world's gone nuts, Herbie.
It's gone more than that, Jeremy. It's gone completely balmy. I don't suppose these illegal immigrants prosecuted all the countries they went through before they got to here.
Only here.
Only our stupid country will do such a thing, Jeremy. What a waste of space. What a waste of time. They really are unbelievable. I don't know where this country's gone to the dogs completely.
I don't understand how we've got here, and people keep coming up to me saying you should keep the fight going, but I don't understand. Did I wake up in a parallel universe one day and think, Jesus Christ, we've got striking train drivers who want 2-for-1 Legoland tickets? What, free bags of cereal? It's a joke, man. It's just, honestly...
You know what it's all about, Jeremy. It's scandalous and we are doing nothing about it. We're just paying a very heavy price for it, believe you me.
Couldn't agree more.
Unbelievable.
Herbie, great to have you on. And Harold, let's head to Sunderland. Joan, you're on Talk Drive. A couple of minutes. Good afternoon. How are you?
I feel the same as you. Steam coming out of my ears. This ridiculous thing about migrants being able to sue us.
Yeah.
But I think there'll be something happen and something good, because I think the silent, law-abiding majority of this country will suddenly wake up and say, enough is enough, not in my name. And I would urge everybody who the elections, because they were fiddled the last time for councils, please use your vote. I don't care who you vote for. Put an X in the box and let us have free and fair elections in this country. We are a democracy, not a dictatorship, but there is already a crack in the dam for Mr. Starmer, and with a bit of luck and a bit more push from the ordinary hard-working people in this country, things will change. He has got to go.
Couldn't agree more. Love you, love you, love your words, Jean. I'm not. How old are you?
I'm Joan and I'm 85.
Brilliant. Somebody wrote Jean. No, my eyes are crap. 85. We love you. You speak for the nation. Completely with you. That's Joan in Sunderland, not Jean in Newcastle. 0344 499 1000. People are just like that. Linda's in Newcastle. Jess, how about deporting the human rights bleeding lawyers who are constantly fleecing the taxpayers? Quite right. That's another thing. Oh, I'll get £800 an hour to defend somebody who's broken into our country illegally. Oh, apparently their human rights are more important. What about my... And he said... What about my human rights? What about Joan's human rights? It's not Jean, whoever wrote Jean's, my eyes. Are they taking the what's it? Who's paying the legal fees? Us. Yes, Steve Forrest. Suzanne, unlawful detention. These so-called asylum seekers are here unlawfully. I used to work at Manson when it was an airport. They should be bloody grateful. Sean Cooper, good afternoon. Why on earth would Israel notify the anti-Semitic UK government of its intention to attack Hamas in Qatar? Sean from Bridlington. Mike and I are heading for a summer season there, the way things are going. Hello to Nick. Hello to Peter Bryan. How can these politicians look themselves in the eye when they stand up and repeat the same lies? Shabana Mahmood will do diddly squat. And she's deluded if she thinks the deal struck with the French by the useless Mrs. Bulls will work. The French will not stop anything. It is not in their interest. It actually works for them to help the Channel migrants, says Pete in Lincolnshire. Couldn't agree more. What is it? 12 minutes to 5. We're live across the UK. It's drive time on Talk. If you want to be on as ever, my friends, 0344 499 1000. Faith taking your calls. We'll get loads on voice notes on that same number and WhatsApps. You can do that and text 87222. We're back in 3.
You're looking at, someone mentioned in one of the clips you just played, that they are trying to keep the left of the party out of this contest. Well, it doesn't seem very much like they're succeeding on that front. And in any case, almost everybody in this party and in Parliament is on the left of the Labour Party anyway, and the Labour Party is on the left. So you're looking at some pretty extreme characters here.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Robert Jobson, the Royal Editor, and just a tick. Hello to Colleen. She says, do these migrants who want to sue the British taxpayers because they've been held in detention centres instead of 4-star hotels, do they also sue the French government because they got put in... I know you said it again. Crappy tents whilst waiting to cross the channel? Of course not. It's only us because we're as soft as... Can someone tell me why we can't use the army to patrol Calais beaches? Absolutely. If there's a will, there's a way. I can't repeat that. 87222, start your message with the word talk. Calls to 0344 499 1000. On the day we discover that Ed Miliband has a gas boiler. On the day we discover that the tube drivers who are on strike, one of their demands is not just a massive pay rise, they're like 2-for-1 Legoland tickets. I feel like I'm living in a parallel universe. I say a very good friend of mine as well, Robert Jobson, the Royal Editor. How are you?
Very good, Jeremy.
You didn't come. We can't go on the tube, can we, in London, because they're on strike. They want Legoland tickets. I can't be doing with
Just
it.
give them the Legoland tickets. I can't do with the strike.
You can't. Well, he's hard to negotiate with, isn't he? Just give him the tickets. Great story in The Sun. I know you know all about this. We've got you in. Prince Harry jetted into Heathrow yesterday, slipping through the VIP Windsor suite for his first UK visit since losing that bit of showdown against the Home Office about police protection. No protection at all. Did he get the tube? No, that was on strike. How did he... What happens there?
He'll have protection. He'll have people looking after him, not only his own people, but they will do it. They would have notified that this was going to be happening.
Yep.
And they would have organised all that. The thing that is quite interesting is that his father, the King, is flying down from... His son revealed it in their paper, in the front page today, that he's flying down to maybe some stage he'll be in town tomorrow, I think. Now, will he see his son? Will there be a window? My understanding is that's for medical reasons he's flying down, but it's bound to build up the whole head of steam that they're going to meet. But I'm not so sure it would go down too well, would it? You know, the reality is Harry, has betrayed everyone, and his brother and Kate, they're both out working. The King has got to protect the institution, not look after Harry's whirlwind flight of fancy that he's doing.
There are certain things that I wouldn't want to talk about, but I think we all know the King is ill, and there's obviously somewhere in Harry's brain, presumably, is I want to either get my fill or say my sorries. I don't know. I'm not being... When I say that, I don't mean that badly. But what was so interesting yesterday is Harry in the UK, just 7 or 8 miles away from Williams. There are rumours of meet-up. You're saying you don't think that'll happen. I don't either. William and Kate are taking on, as you said, far more. They're looking more regal by the day. Now we see Harry smiling, and apparently he's really keen to come back. Well, what happened to everything that was said then? Is he going to say that... I mean, I've heard rumours the marriage is on the rocks. Was he going to blame her and come back to the United Kingdom with his ginger tail between his legs?
I don't think people will accept him. I
agree with you, mate.
I think that he's... the reality with this guy is he's betrayed his family, and he's betrayed the royal family, he's betrayed the monarchy, and now he comes back just because he's quite a charmer with the people. He's shaking hands. Some people would turn out for the opening of envelopes. They've turned out to see him.
Yeah.
And he's trying to turn this into a quasi-royal tour, a little visit. I think that people just had enough of him. There's people are more worried about putting their, getting to work and putting the food on their table than another moan, oh, my brother wasn't as nice to me as he should have been moan, and things like this. I think people have had enough of the Harry and Meghan story, and really, I think if the King did actually see him, what are they going to discuss? Well, I would imagine, what sort of money what payouts he going to get,
I mean, that is frightening, but so true. And I mean, you and I have talked about this for years. I had respect when they wanted to walk away. I've had absolutely zero respect till time since, because all they've done is make money by slagging off the very institution they don't want to be part of. And the only way they make money is by spilling beans. And the other thing is, which is absolutely nailed on fact, I shouldn't think that anybody in the royal circles trusts to tell him anything. Because it's really weird, is it not? I mean, she's just... I can't have her. I never have been able to. The old man before he passed said the same. But anything that they say or do ends up in the newspaper. So if you're Charles and you're trying to run a country, if you're not well and all those sorts of things, how do you know it's not going to be out there?
Well, how can he know? And the reality is, you know, we've had one book, he's made a lot of money from that, and we'll probably get another one if that's the case. But I think also, if you did just want to walk away, look at the one lady whose funeral's coming up, Catherine, the Duchess of Kent, who served the royal family for many, many years, then decided she didn't want to be on the front line of royal family. What did she do? She went and worked in a comprehensive school in Hull under the name Catherine Kent. She didn't sell out all the secrets of the royal family. She just went and she just said, OK, and that's quite right. She's getting lovely ladies. She's going to get... Her funeral is next week, and she's being respected. But she didn't want all the stuff with the royal family more, but so she taught music in a school.
It's really interesting, isn't it? We were talking about... some friends and I were talking about over dinner the other night about how, you know, in our lives, it was always the Queen. From the first moment, she was like the grandmother. I would love to go... I mean, what was it, 3 years the other day?
3 years.
I would love to go back and see what she makes of what this country's going through, what the world's going through. And I don't think she'd be banging her grandsons' heads together. I think that you make... I mean, I think there's a basic rule. There's many basic rules, but you make your bed in life.
She took that decision.
You have to line it. You live by the sword. Angela Rayner, think about it. You live by the sword, you die by the sword.
She took that decision when she was in the, on the throne, the Queen. She said she had the summit at Sandringham. She said, right, let's hear the facts. Heard the facts, love you, love everything you want to do, but you're either in or out, made the decision straight down the line. It's Harry that's sort of trying to remain in by telling all these stories about how he and his wife are hard done by, and then continually churning out stuff about
I don't think she wants anything to do with them anymore, does she, and vice versa, but as he finds himself sort of stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so, and I think, you know, I think he still thinks he's got a future within the royal family, still, because I think he thinks he's still popular.
Does he not know two things? One, nobody trusts him, certainly not in the family, and I shouldn't think many people in this country. And there's the lack of likeability now because of the way he has insulted the very institution. A lot of people don't like the institution, but a lot of people do.
A lot of people do, and I think the thing with Harry is he clearly hasn't got it. He said he's waiting for an apology. He's waiting for an apology. You know, from who? From why? Nobody else has done anything to him or to his
We've
wife.
had I was the spare. The royal family is racist. I didn't get the attention my brother did. It was horrendous what he went through losing his mother. William also lost his mother.
Yeah,
there are people the length and breadth of this country, kids who have lost their mothers, lost parents, who are not worth billions, who live in castles. The truth of the matter is, for me as a royalist, they have done more damage to the royal family in the last 5 or 6 years than I can think since the guy abdicated in the third. I genuinely mean that, and I think that Charles, through his illness, is doing everything to keep it together. And of course, as a father, you probably do want to see your son, but if you think it's going to end in the papers or he's going to ask you how much, we've all been in that position. It's horrible.
It will end up in the papers. I mean, Harry has hired himself a new PR man for the UK to be based in the UK.
Who pays for that?
Out of his many monies that he's made. He's got a PR team in LA. But why has he got all these? Why has he got a PR man in the UK whilst he's still suing everyone?
Why doesn't he just get some common sense?
Well, that would be handy, wouldn't it?
It would be absolutely handy. So you're saying not much chance, you don't think? I know he came down, Windsor Castle, laid flowers, Queen's memory three years ago. He's been bouncing around, but you think that Charles is coming to London for medical issues. You don't think they'll meet up?
He would definitely be coming for medical treatment. If there's a window, then there'll be a window. But I think, you know, if you're going through that, the treatment that we will be undergoing, he'll be quite tired and he will have a limited window. And he'll also not want any stress.
That's the other thing. Like, if your dad was ill with cancer, as he is, and he's having chemo, if you were going through that, you'd want to make sure your dad was all right. That's why people get angry, because it's about them, me, not about anybody else. We love having you on. I really appreciate it. We will watch this story developed. Robert Jobson, as ever, brilliant, the royal editor. What is it, almost 5 o'clock? We're live across the UK. On the day we find out that if you broke into this country illegally and you were put in a detention centre, we're very sorry. We're going to give you a lawyer. We'll pay for that, for you to sue us to get more money because we feel so sorry for you. Mind you, we're at work paying the tax. Back in 3, the news at 5.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
To start hour two, welcome to the madness that is the United Kingdom. What is it? It is Tuesday the 9th of September 2025. This is the day that we, as people who live in the United Kingdom, find out that 8 out of 10 hospitals fail to deliver a good service. That's a shock. This is the day we discover that the BBC can't rule out more scandals of abuse and sexual inappropriateness, despite the fact we pay £170 a year to them. That's a shock. This is the day we find out that Ed Miliband, that net stupid zero idiot zealot, doesn't do what he says. He's got a gas boiler. That's a shock. And my favourite, if you're in London, even if you're not, the tubes are on strike, London is gridlocked, and included in the demands that the unions are making to TfL, run by that toe rag, so they can. They want free tickets to Legoland, 2 for 1. I promise you that's the sort of that we're dealing with on a daily basis. 0344 499 1000. Nan in Wales. I mean, is it your nan or is it somebody called Nan? Why on earth would Starmer be informed about what the IDF are planning? He had the bleeding PM from Palestine round for tea yesterday. Who can trust him? I wouldn't. Nigel James, good afternoon. That was from Nan saying I wouldn't. Nigel James, if migrants can sue us for putting them in detention centres, why can't we then impose a compulsory fine of 100 grand or double their compensation, whichever is greater, for illegally entering our country? Because, Nigel, you need to get with the programme. That would be unfair. These poor migrants have come from persecuted tents in France. Jezza, my granddad was a train driver in the 70s and 80s. He was a trade union volunteer, not an overpaid activist, especially against train drivers going to the pub on breaks. Yes, that was a real thing. He'd be turning in his bloody grave the way the new Labour has become. Luckily, he died before Blair took office, and I will never, ever vote Labour. But he did. Yes, when it was the working man and woman's party, not some ideologically based bunch of claptrap in Islington, where people say, let's spend £800 million bankrupting Britain so that we reach net zero by 2050. What happens when we get there, Spock? I don't know. Well, why are we trying to get there? I don't know. Will we get a medal? I don't know. Well, why don't we just save the money and look after people? Because that wouldn't be right. I'm turning into my father, and he's dead. A very good afternoon to Pope Benedict Spence III. Hello.
Hello.
I am turning into my dad. You see, you're looking very cool this afternoon. The V-neck, the swept back hair. You've been shooting. Have you? What have you been doing today?
It's just, well, I mean, last time you caught me slightly infragrant. It was early in the morning. I was very unput together. So today I've made a point of actually, being awake and, being...
That was the breakfast show, man. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You've had a shave. You're looking quite well groomed. That's the wrong word to use, isn't it? Jesus. Let's start, if we can, with this... another day, another terrible headline. Illegal migrants could soon be entitled to compensation for being held in detention centres. This compensation comes after they entered our country illegally, but left-wing human rights lawyers, paid for by you and me, are basically saying, come to us. We think the Home Office has been awful putting you in Manston and places like this, so maybe we could get some compensation. I mean, it was 4 weeks before you got into that four-star hotel and had everything given to you. That's a bloody outrage. Sod the British, we need to sue them.
Yeah, it's, the end point, I think, of the Americanization of our legal system is that we're no longer sort of a country that has a legal system that works for the people. We have a legal system that works for lawyers and those who want to exploit it, those who think that there's an opportunity to make money. We are now, I'm afraid to say, a nation whose legal system is effectively run by ambulance chasers, except they're not chasing ambulances, they're chasing migrant dinghies. And, there's a lot of money to be made there out of the British state, which has signed up to every convention under the sun that's going to give people free money, to say, well, it's open season, because these people who actually run the government, they're weak. They don't understand that as the government, they can change the laws. They actually believe that a lot of this stuff is correct. So as you can see, here is the opportunity, so let's make some money.
But I mean, to sort of sane people, right? You're saying, could you please go to work, right? And then when you get home, I'm going to take about 30% of what you've earned. And when you come home, we're also going to let you know, unfortunately, I don't want you to be upset about this, but people who break into, imagine it's a burglar. So a burglar breaks into your house, right? And initially, you're not there. He has to stay in the shed, and then eventually he ends up in your bedroom. and he's going to sue you because the shed wasn't very comfortable for a few. I mean, it's farcical. I mean, we can sit here and we can pontificate and joke and laugh about it, but it does say an awful lot as to where, and I believe a lot of people believe this, where the hell we've got to. We seem to be in this preposterous position whereby anybody and everything is to be looked after and mollycoddled and paid for as long as you don't live in the United Kingdom and pay tax.
I mean, you know, we use the expression Kafkaesque. This is kind of Kafkaesque.
Yeah.
And you think of some of the great writers of the last century, the likes of Kafka or Gogol or Orwell, and they would write about hilarious situations where the state would become ever more powerful, ever more ideological, and then their great comedic writings would be about truly insane sets of circumstances where the state effectively sort of eats itself because it's so full of contradictions, and you, the ordinary people, are the ones that suffer. And people would buy these books in their hundreds of thousands, if not their millions, and they'd have a good laugh because it was riotously funny, because nobody could ever envisage things getting that bad, but they could see the logic of how it might happen. Well, here we are.
Absolutely.
Here we are about a century later, and it's reality.
Saw a clip the other day from Thatcher in '83 saying, if the right honourable gentleman is suggesting that people who enter our country illegally should be allowed to stay and not processed, to disappear into our society, commit crimes and enter the black market, he's talking about international chaos. Well, here we are. Abso-bloody-lutely, 40 years down the line or whatever it is. Extraordinary, Benedict. Extraordinary that we've got to a point how I don't know whether it's institutions or ideal, I don't know what it is, but that we've got to this point that is the reality in our country.
I mean, it is ideological first and foremost, is that people throughout the institutions, government, charity sector, the legal profession, do genuinely believe that there are these things called human rights and that they are inalienable and that they sort of spring out of thin air and they are whatever those people say.
What about my human rights when I've paid tax and I want to see a doctor? What about my human rights when I've paid tax and I want to see a dentist? What
you
about...
don't have any, Jeremy. You're a white male. That's genuinely. This is the thing. In the Great Depression Olympics, you used to come at the top, even though you've never really benefited from any of these things. And now it is you are going to be put in your place at the bottom. And that is the same for me. That is the same for lots of your listeners. Actually, these people believe in the idea of, you know, class, racial, sexual hierarchies. It's all about deconstruction and reconstruction.
Did I tell you the story the other day about my mate's partner's daughter's boyfriend? Have I told you this? Absolutely extraordinary. Did it on Breakfast. People nearly fell off the chair. 24 years of age, good-looking kid, middle class, white, went to university, got a first-class honours degree in economics, just wanted to go and work in a hedge fund in London. Just that was his career. Semi-professional rugby player, good egg. I mean, nice young man, yeah? 200 applications over 12 months, not one response. And I swear this is true, ladies and gentlemen. I swear this. A mate said to him, change 2 words on your CV, put non-binary, and he got 4 interviews in 2 weeks. He's gone to Hong Kong because he doesn't want to live in this country anymore. That is absolutely outrageous, man.
I'll tell you a couple of things. First and foremost, that is another example of the ideological capture of institutions, and in particular the rise of the HR department in personal business. If you run any kind of business now, you are almost mandated to need an HR department, but an HR department exists to make your life difficult, to cost you money, but so that you comply with all sorts of strange ideological rulings. It is a cancer at the heart of every business, and if it was up to me, we'd get rid of them. But just as an anecdote now, because that was an anecdote that you gave, from my immediate friendship group at school, there were about 9 of us who sort of stayed friends afterwards, and we meet up and we go to the pub, go for a curry every now and then. I was counting this the other day. More than half of us now have emigrated. 2 more would emigrate if they didn't have families here. Then there's also Muggins here, who is thinking about it as well. That is, if you're replicating that across the country, and you know, I went to a private school, but I didn't go to sort of, it wasn't it wasn't Winchester or Eton or anything like that. It was actually a fairly normal school, relatively.
And me.
Replicate that across the country, there will be hundreds of thousands of people having those same conversations. Why are we here? What are we paying for when there are other countries that will not make us jump through these ridiculous hoops and punish us for who we are? They will say, come on in.
Mate, I completely agree. I want to take a call with you because this has really taken off, and this story is extraordinary. I'd like your response very quickly. TfL, London is gridlocked. There's no tubes. The unions, who are backing the drivers taking industrial action, who are arguing with Sadiq Khan, which is quite ironic. They want 2-for-1 entry to theme parks, including Legoland. Let's go to... Is it Piz? Piz in Berkshire. I hope you're not going to... Anyway, what do you want to say, Piz?
Oh, Jeremy, I'm just frustrated and cross and annoyed. The rest of us scrimp and save to get tickets to go to Legoland, right?
Yep.
Why is TfL demanding those tickets when they're being paid an extortionate amount of money? It's just not right.
Piz, can I just say something? Ryan, I wish you could hear some of the dross rubbish that he says in my ear. This is what he just said to me. Just for your information, Legoland's in Berkshire. Yes, I lived a mile from it for 7 years. You're all right, Ryan. Don't worry about it. Sorry, mate. Go on, Piz. You're right. It's an expensive day out. It is a really expensive day out, isn't it, for the family?
Well, it is. You have to pay for parking. You have to plan these things out. I did the 2-for-1 tickets when I was trying to get the Sun newspaper for my son and I. What, you know, it drives me crackers, right? It's one rule for everybody else to scream and shout about it. And also, we've got a protest coming up at the weekend.
They say to me, you're being really unfair. These these tube drivers, they're only asking for 38%. And I mean, honestly, bring Benedict Spencer in. Benedict, when you listen to Piz, she works hard to take her kids out. She's saving the vouchers from the Sun. She knows how expensive that theme park is, and they're asking for it for free. They're laughing at us, Benedict. You can only agree with Piz.
Oh, of course. The thing is, you know, when it comes to so many effectively public sector workers, and especially places like London, they are so out of touch with quite how, well, no other word for it, how poor a lot of people are now in this country because of the performance of government over the last 5 to 10 years, but in particular the last 5 years. People have gone from being able to get by, not live a sort of a lavish lifestyle, but most people were able to get by, to frankly really struggling. Many people are struggling. And so when you've got a situation where you've got tube drivers who, let's be clear, are paid a huge amount of money relative to the job they actually do, you know, they're paid significantly more than bus drivers, for instance, who do a lot more work. For them to be sort of quibbling over things like, well, we want massive discounts on public transport for ourselves and for our family, and we want lots of little perks, we want lots of nice things. Oh, and we want to go down to a 4-day...
And I'm the employer and I want value for money or I'll sack your ass.
Exactly. And it's the fact that there is that disconnect. And I don't think it would happen if it was happening anywhere other than London. London is a little cocoon that has no concept of just how difficult things are literally everywhere else.
That's the TfL story. The other great story of the day is the Mad Ed, Ed Millipede, he who wants to spend £800 trillion on stupid net zero. He's got a gas boiler. Of course he's got a gas boiler, you hypocrite.
Of course he does. Of course he does. But, you know, there is... We have to be clear here, you know, that the energy stories are, you know, the hypocrisy of government ministers, they are hilarious. You know, we've got, obviously, this example, we've got the housing minister who runs afoul of, you know, stamp duty and, you know, the corruption
minister.
Corruption minister on trial for corruption, the homeless minister making people homeless, you know, the Chancellor of the Exchequer who can't count. But, you know, there is a serious point to say all about this, which is that Ed Miliband is in charge of, I'd say, actually a very important area of government.
Yep.
Energy prices are holding back growth. They're holding back ordinary people, businesses. It's a really devastating thing that's currently going on. And I don't know if you saw this latest story about Ineos, about Jim Ratcliffe and his company.
The guy that owns Manchester United?
Yeah, he's got an energy company, and they're basically calling time on their involvement in the UK. And they are very seriously invested, or were very seriously invested, in the gas industry in the UK. For them to be turning around and saying, well, that's it, we're heading out, I think that's them calling time on the UK's oil and gas industry, frankly. And that's really concerning because we're all saying at the same time, we need to be reopening these things, we need to be exporting these things. If the actual companies themselves, if a fossil fuel company is saying there's not enough money to be made in fossil fuels, that's concerning.
So I've got to play a voice note for you because Sharon is beside herself, not about the Legoland ticket. She's beside herself about the fact that migrants can come into this country and obviously get compensation. Sharon, go.
We pay for them to come, we collect them out of the sea, bring them into land, put them up, give them everything that they want. If they don't like it, then now they can take us to court and we'll pay for the solicitors and the lawyers to get them compensation for them coming over here from France where they've lived in a tent or whatever they've lived in, and we'll have to pay the bill. Have I just woke up in a parallel universe? I just cannot believe what I'm hearing.
I think Sharon needs to get with the thing. I think it sounds perfectly acceptable. I think we're all very unfair that are criticising these poor illegal migrants. She's right. I told you this last week, when Harry Cole, who's now in America, is coming over here actually to do a show because of the state visit of Trumpy Trump, is that what we're calling him, literally said to me, in America, you know, because the globalists that run this country, like, oh, you know, this is important that we look fantastic, let's give away the Chagos Islands. They're laughing at us. They're laughing at us, Benedict. And this is another example.
They are, and I don't know if you've seen the two stories that have done the rounds in the last 24 hours. The first is a group of Palestinians who are going to attempt to take the UK to court for the actions from the Balfour Declaration to the end of the British Mandate. They want an apology from the British government for what they say is the failure to recognise the state of Palestine, and you almost certainly know what's going to come down the road after that. There will be the demand for reparations, and boy, if you thought the Chagos Islands was expensive, just wait until you hear what the Palestinian delegation has to say about how much we magically owe them. But then on top of that, this morning we had another story, which is a group of African Union countries have joined this bandwagon. They've gone, clearly it's open season in the UK. We are also going to demand some compensation. And the irony of that is these people asking for reparations, they tend to be the countries that ended up selling people into slavery in the first place. This is the countries that profited from the slave trade, but they're going to come to us and say, we think you owe us some money. All of those things that happened, the bad things, yeah, we think that that's somehow your fault. And you know what's going to happen? The British government is going to go, best cough up.
I don't know. Just every time I speak to you, I feel like we should go down the pub and have those beers and that curry. Let's finish with an even better story and more trouble for Dreary Starmer. Labour MPs announced deputy leadership bid. Obviously, Rayner's gone back. We're not sure whether she's gone to Hove or Manchester. We're not sure yet. She's gone somewhere. Anyway, she's out. They believe that she was the sort of plug, if you like, between Hampstead Labour as it is and you know, workers north of Watford Gap. So the left have been lining up. I think this is brilliant. I'd love you to take it. So far confirmed. I don't know who Paula Baker is or Belle Ribideau. I don't know any of those, but I'll tell you who I do know. I love Emily Thornberry. I don't love Emily. I love the fact that Emily Thornberry, who was side by side with Starmer for years and got completely snubbed, she's standing. That would be trouble for him. I'd love that. Not guaranteed, by the way, the deputy leader of place in cabinet. Lucy Powell. Dog whistle to talk about rape gangs. Really, you deranged human being. She was sat last week. She's standing. Phillipson's got a chip on her bleeding shoulder because she lost half of the department to Pat Boring McFadden. I think any one of those threes, can you imagine the link between that and Starmer? You've got Andy Burnham carping on the side going, oh, you know, that would be a good idea.
I mean, quite clearly, Phillipson is the preferred candidate for Starmer. He wants somebody who's going to say, yes, sir, no bags, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. Lucy Powell is a half-wit. We can all have a good laugh at her, but I think she is a bit of a dangerous half-wit, given that she seems to think talking about grooming gangs is a dog whistle. That concerns me. But I'm with you. I think Emily Thornberry, given that Starmer knifed her, given that Starmer thought he'd got rid of her, I think that would be just such beautiful...
It would be better than any Christmas panto, if I wished for anything.
Like an EastEnders villain who you think's been killed off, comes back, and then suddenly there's the dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
That would be Thornberry winning this election and Starmer having to deal with her for the next couple of years.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Voice note from Phil on the Labour deputy leadership race. Go, Phil.
So, for the deputy leader of the Labour Party, they've said it's got to be a woman. And this just shows you exactly what is wrong with the Labour Party. Not it's got to be the best candidate for the job, it's got to be a woman. So virtue signalling is more important than capability.
Absolutely. He again is direct. I didn't know that. Has it got to be a woman?
Well, it doesn't have to be a woman, but that seems to be the only people that they're putting forward for this.
Let me make the point, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the Labour Party, though. That doesn't mean it has to be a woman. Let
me be really honest and say that I think the Labour Party is the only party that hasn't been led. I mean, the Tories have been led by a woman. Apparently, we've got a clip. This is Wes Streeting. He who used to be very popular is now 23rd on the rank of cabinet ministers in terms of popularity with the owners. He's not writing it for me. The typing's not going out. This is Wes Streeting on the deputy leadership of the Labour Party. Go.
I think ideally, I think it's good if you've got a balanced leadership team, and we've got some brilliant women who are putting themselves forward, women who are government ministers, women who are on our backbenches. And, you know, one thing I'd say beyond the deputy leadership, you look at the cabinet that Keir Starmer's surrounded himself with, first time in history, actually, that all of the so-called great offices of state, your Chancellor, your Foreign Secretary, Home Secretary, are all women for the first time.
He said that through gritted teeth, didn't he, Benedict?
He did, and it's just the classic clutching at straws, and you think, well, we're heading potentially for a financial meltdown. We can't stop the boats. If anything, the numbers are increasing. Why on earth do you think actually saying, oh, good news is we've got so many women in a job, why do you think you're actually doing them a favour? Presumably the girls are going to be sat there going, please stop pinning this on us. It has nothing to do with us. Starmer's the guy in charge. All the while, you've got him and you've got people like Streeting going, this is the good news, is that there's never been more women in government than at any time before. And a lot of voters are going, well, if there's a correlation here, it's that we probably shouldn't have so many of them, or at least not Labour ones, because it doesn't seem to make anything any better. Thus far, all we seem to have is lots of women with lots of fringes who can't do their job.
Fringe meetings or fringes? Talking of which, you'll know I was at the reform thing at the weekend working. Just quick question for you. Nigel Farage addressed his loyal reformers and said, because I was watching in the hall, he believes there will be an election sooner rather than later, possibly by 2027, that financially this government with the IMF and all the problems that it's got, and Labour MPs looking over their shoulders as the polls don't get any better. Where do you stand on that, Benedict?
I think it's possible, but I do think you shouldn't underestimate the desire of this Labour government to stay in power at all costs. They do still have a very large majority. They don't have the mechanism to knife a Prime Minister in the back like the Tories do. They don't seem to have the same self-destruct tendencies that the Tories do. Now, that said, it is possible, but let's bear in mind, if it happens, it's because this country will have hit a financial crisis that it hasn't seen in decades. And as much as we might all be sat here saying it would be a good thing for the government to fall, the circumstances around that would have to be required for that government to fall, I think would be unbelievably painful for ordinary people. So if anything, we should possibly hope that that doesn't happen, because a lot of people will suffer.
Really interesting. It's great to have you on. Top man, Pope Benedict Spence XIII from his mansion somewhere in the countryside. Afternoon to me, old Mucker Russ. Thanks for the message, mate. Keep digging, keep going. You're a legend. We love you. If you want to be on 0344 499 1000, that's the number. You can see the voice note. You can phone us. Faith is taking your calls. You can also genuinely send a text message, 87222. Start your message with the word talk. You'll have heard at the top of the news, Israel has launched a strike targeting senior Hamas leaders in Doha in Qatar. Cue international outrage. Next, Rear Admiral Chris Parry, ex-NATO and Royal Navy commander. Good man as well. Next on Talk Drive. We're back in 3.
Well, Ed Miliband being branded an eco-hypocrite this morning in The Sun as well, because, of course, the Energy Secretary boasted in February that he'd installed a heat pump at his house. Now, I don't know who paid for that, but I can bet your bottom dollar that it was probably us. But it turns out that he's also got another property in Doncaster, South Yorkshire, and it's got a gas boiler in it. And he hasn't replaced the gas boiler. And worse than that, not only has he not replaced the gas boiler, but he's charged us for the bill.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 5:27. We'll get you on ahead of 7 o'clock. Kev is back at 7. Kevin Carter says, I got paid 2 weeks ago, Jess. Got 2 weeks until payday and I'm skint. I can't even go for a post-work pint. I just have to count the pennies. Not going to make the end of the month, but everyone else seems to be getting everything for free. Driving home, genuinely, pal, thinking, why the hell do I bother? But loving the show. And that's the point. So Benedict Spence made the point. You know, I hear all those lefties say to me, oh, you don't know what it's like to live in Eritrea. You don't know what it's like to be Kevin, do you? Carter, who's working, what, 50, 60 hours a week and he can't make ends meet. He's hacked off with the fact that you're not sticking up for him. That's the point, isn't it? 0344 499 1000. Now, Mark Selby, I don't think it's Mark Selby because he's the world snooker champion. I think it's Mark in Selby. Cheers. Where's the difference between tube drivers wanting free perks paid out of our taxes and the MPs claiming huge amounts on expenses and taking freebies? Oh, and the illegal immigrants hoovering up taxpayer cash. I wish the gravy train would be replaced by a slow bus and let taxpayers catch their breath. Completely agree, but the bus probably wouldn't turn up. Listen, earlier today we heard the news that Israel had launched a strike targeting senior Hamas leaders in Doha, the capital of Qatar. According to a Hamas official, the group's negotiating team was hit. Qatar's foreign ministry condemned the attack as a blatant violation of international law, warning it will not tolerate this reckless Israeli behaviour and the continuous tampering with the security of the region. The IDF stated that the strike was precise and claimed those targeted were directly responsible for the brutal October the 7th massacre. We'll go live. Our next guest, Rear Admiral Chris Parry. Chris, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive.
Hi, Jeremy. Hello, everybody.
This is a really contentious moment, I think. I think that you will have a lot of people talking about what happened on October the 7th, how Israel, has it gone over the top, what's happened in Gaza. What do you make of them launching an attack on Hamas, yes, but in a different country? Does this escalate this whole situation still further, my friend?
I don't think so. I think the Qataris would have been ready for this. I think the Israelis would have prepared them for it. And despite the outrage being expressed, you don't get into Qatari airspace without them knowing about it, to tell you the truth. I know what defensive systems they've got. The Israelis always said they would get the top leadership for what happened on the 7th of October. And I think it's happened. And you've got to admit, Jeremy, they're rather good at this sort of thing, aren't they?
I don't have details on did they achieve what they wanted to achieve. We haven't had details on whether, you know, leaders of Hamas were killed or not. But I just want to go back to what you said. So despite the outrage, you're saying that Qatar would have known about this?
No, I think basically they would have been told at some stage this was going to happen. And as long as there was no collateral damage, I'm sure, you know, they're going to be making a lot of noise about it. But frankly, I think Hamas was always going to be on the target list after October the 7th. From what I hear, none of the top Hamas leadership are answering their phones at the moment, which is a good thing, because if you are still alive, you'll be targeted through your phone. But I suspect they've been killed. They were meeting in a single place. And if it was struck, and it looks like the Israelis have used their very precise up and down weapons, the ones that hit, you know, the precise location and don't hit either side of it. So again, another very good, well-planned operation by the Israeli Defense Force.
What do you say to the world? There's people running up and down, jumping up and down, saying that this is a blatant violation of international law, and shows still further that Netanyahu, yes, to his friends or his supporters will say I will rest at nothing to deal with what happened on October the 7th. To his detractors, the man is answerable to no one. I read something earlier that said that Trump must have given the green light. I'd love your take on that as well.
No, I don't think so. I think the Israelis will do what they normally do, and that is tell the Americans when it's too late to actually do anything.
I love the British government. They said, we're shocked we didn't know. Why the hell would they be told anything, the British government, is my response. Yours?
No, at the moment, I mean, the Israelis don't trust us Brits. You know, we're heading to recognise this this strange state called Palestine at some stage this month. You know, the Israeli president's been visiting today, so there have been some discussions about that. But, you know, you've got a situation where Israel is in an existential fight for its life at the moment. Nobody realizes that they're fighting on about 7 different fronts. And this is part of the pattern. You saw how they dealt with Hezbollah. They're involved in Syria, trying to save the Druze and the Christian populations. And frankly, if you're a small state in that part of the world right now, you have to actually deal with your enemies when you find them.
I mean, they are the only democratically elected state in that region, but I do always try and give both sides. What do you say to the people who say they're committing genocide and the British government, by supplying arms to Israel, is culpable in that instance?
No, it's perfectly ridiculous to call it genocide. If people want to look at genocide, look what's happening in Xinjiang province in China right now. You've got concentration camps, you've got forced sterilization. Look at Ukraine, you've got children in their tens of thousands being abducted and taken to Russia. That's genocide. The fact that the population has increased quite considerably in Gaza since October 23 tells you there's no genocide going on. It's a construct. It's the usual, I'm afraid, Marxist ability to actually say something is what it isn't. We had an example yesterday, Jeremy. An idiot on this peace flotilla fired a flare in Tunis. It landed back on the boat, and suddenly it's an Israeli drone. People.
Was that on Greta Thunberg's boat?
I do hope so. Yeah.
No. Did you not read that? I'm right, aren't I? Right. Somebody, some flare or something lit up one of the. She's on a flotilla to Gaza. Young Greta. She's going to stand somewhere off Gaza and say, "I will change the world." Unbelievable. Of course, the Israelis have this desire, understandably, to do what they say they should do after October the 7th. A lot of people are wringing their hands. The situation is not great for everybody, but it is interesting. They will rest at nothing, will they, the Israelis? They don't seem to. Well, politicians again that say what they're going to do, that they'll do what they're going to say they'll do, which is Trump-esque, I guess. I wonder what he thinks about that attack in Qatar.
Jeremy, I always ask people who say, what the Israelis doing is really bad. I always say, what's your plan then? Because the Israeli plan basically is to eliminate Hamas in Gaza. And as you can see, they're moving the population around to make sure they don't suffer too much. But they do want to flush Hamas out. If Hamas want to release the hostages, that's a step in the right direction. But so far, nobody has come up with a plan.
Of course not. No, hold on a second. Come on, Chris, you and I know we're the same age almost. That's like when you go up to the people who are saying, we're pro-migration, you poor, they're coming from terrible, terrible deprivation, and these poor people are starving and they've been absolutely costed. And I've seen great reports where we go, would you like a migrant in your... Well, I would, but it's not... I can't, I'm afraid. My landlord won't let me. Would you like a migrant? I'm sorry, my house isn't big enough. Would you like a migrant? No, I'm not in at the weekends. I'm eating vegan. And you think, hold on a minute, right? It's very easy to cart from the sidelines. And this is why I don't care, right, Chris? You know me. I don't care if somebody would spend their life disagreeing with everything that I say and putting forward their thing. But just do me one favour, allow me to have my opinion. And also, try and be authentic, because I'm not sure that a lot of people that jump on bandwagons do it for any more than activism. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean, you're quite right. I mean, there's a lot of people calling at the moment for armed force to be used to go in and force humanitarian aid on the Gazans at the moment. Well, OK, pick up a rifle then. Go and do it yourself. It's quite incredible the way that people are very happy to put the other people's children in harm's way and not their own. We've got to realise, when people say, look, you've got to think about the Gazans. Well, think about the Israelis. They are daily, hourly under constant threat. And if you're under constant threat, there are 2 things that happen. One is you're quite shocked. Secondly, you tend to take the remedial action that will make the threat go away as quick as it can.
But you must have empathy for what you see in Gaza as a father. I know you would, like I do. You don't want to see it. But you always taught me one thing. You always said to me, war's not nice. It's not nice. It's horrible.
Yeah, I've got sympathy for anybody. I've been in that situation protecting people myself. But the fact of life is, as long as Hamas is prepared to use the people of Gaza as weapons in this war, the Israelis will continue to lose people in being, dare I say it, fairly discriminating about the way they use force. And I'm afraid to say right at the heart of this is a very evil ideology that seeks to use as many people in Gaza as possible in pursuit of their political ideals. And I have to say, I think at least 6 of them disappeared today, so that's a good thing.
Really good to have your take on this. It always is, mate. We love having you on. Rear Admiral Chris Parry, thank you on Talk Drive. What is it, 22 minutes to 6 o'clock? Sport coming up this hour. More of your calls, by the way. We'll update you on that story about a migrant boat in distress in the Channel. We'll do that. If you want to get on between now and 7 o'clock, 0344 499 1000. Back in 3.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
He's back at 7 o'clock. Petrie from 10, 20 to, what is it, 20 to 6? Because God, where's the time gone? 0344 499 1000. This is JK on Drive, on Talk, the home of common sense and free speech, and the home of Mike Graham's Morning Glory. The only way to wake up. Just to fill you in with that breaking news story. I wish I could. There we go. A government spokesman has just said that Border Force responded to reports of a migrant boat in distress in the Channel at 1:45 this afternoon. One passenger was found unresponsive and was given CPR. Sadly, they say, we can now confirm that this individual has died. They said the government was shocked and saddened by this tragic incident. Our immediate thoughts are with all those who have been affected, the spokesman said, before adding, this latest tragedy underlines the terrible dangers of small boat crossings, and we continue to do everything we can to prevent callous criminals exploiting vulnerable people. That is a Channel tragedy again. We first talked about that about an hour ago, but a government spokesman confirming that Border Force got involved this afternoon and a person has lost their life, which absolutely, and Downing Street is right, should focus everybody's minds on getting this sorted. And it's very easy. You can't, when somebody dies, you can't get into a huge debate, but people need to understand that, of course, it's dangerous, and people would only be willing to take that risk, right, if they couldn't come into a country legally. If you can't come into a country legally, you shouldn't be coming here. But we're in a country where migrants are now coming in illegally and then suing the government, being paid for by us with lawyers because it's unfair on them. The world's gone upside down. Let's go to Southend. Dave, you're on Talk Drive. Just a couple of minutes, me old son. What you got?
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Kyle. Firstly, I couldn't give a toss about the one that's died on the crossing. I really don't care.
Well, right, I'm not going to argue with that. Listen, right, you're better than that. Nobody wants anybody to die. What's wrong is that people will then, because of that, not keep on, which is that today we discover that people who come here illegally can get compensation. That's the right way to do it. That's simply being honest to you. You know I'm straight, right?
Well, I'm being straight with you. I still don't care, OK? That's up to you. If you want to feel sorry for them, you carry on. I don't, and I'm certainly sure there are millions like me that don't care.
I don't want anybody to lose their life, mate. I just think if you're going to make a point, you can always make a point on this station, but you're better than that, and if you're not, I don't want to talk to you. Let's go to Paul, please, in Shrewsbury. Paul, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm not too bad, but I'm fed up of everybody saying we live in a democracy.
Oh, quelle surprise. I mean, honestly, do you not think we do?
2/3 of the people vote against somebody. How can they get in with an overall majority?
Say that?
The same thing. 2/3 of the people vote against somebody and they get in with an overall majority.
Now we have a debate on the now we have a debate on, you know, first past the post, rather two-party system, first past the post. For many, many years, me growing up, they always talked about proportional representation and how it was at that point the SDP or the Liberals or that would get like 10,000 votes in almost every seat, but would get millions of votes and wouldn't get many seats because it was average.
The same happened at the last general election when the Reform UK got a hell of a lot more votes than the Liberals, but Reform got 4 seats and the Liberal Democrats got 74.
Absolutely.
The fact is, we do not live in a democracy. The last person that was a populist Prime Minister, if I remember correctly, was Neville Chamberlain. Nobody has
Neville Chamberlain was the last popular Prime Minister. What is this afternoon? Is this segment, of course, trying to... The man that went to Munich and got conned and came back and waved a bit of paper. He was completely deranged.
Yeah, but it was after the war. He got the populist vote, and he's the last person that had more than 50% of the populist vote.
Oh, did he? Oh, right, I didn't know that. Well, oh, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, no, I get that. And actually, if you think that... What somebody said to me about Starmer, he only got 34% of the vote, but more than that, which is even more shocking, he got less than Corbyn got in 2019. Is that right?
Yeah. So why is it that I'm going to say we obviously do not live in a proper democracy?
I think we made that point. Thank you very much, Dido. 344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Just to repeat that news, a couple of people saying they missed it. A government spokesman said that Border Force responded to reports of a migrant boat in distress in the Channel at 12:45 this afternoon. One passenger found unresponsive, given CPR. Sadly, confirmed deceased there. Government have said in the last few minutes they're shocked and saddened by the tragic incident. Our immediate thoughts are those with those affected, the spokesman said, before adding, this latest tragedy underlines the terrible dangers of small boat crossings, and we continue to do everything we can to prevent callous criminals exploiting vulnerable people. I'm not going to get into a debate on the basis of somebody's life. The reason I wouldn't allow that guy to continue is not that come thither, is not that I don't agree, right, that there are different priorities, but you're not going to get anywhere at all if you come on and you say, I don't care if somebody dies. There's a bigger argument to be had. 5:45 and a surprise guest next on Talk Drive.
What a disaster that would be. I'm sorry, but Emily Thornberry is just the biggest snob in British politics, as far as I can tell. We all remember when she sneered at White Van Man, who had his flag flying out his front room window. We all remember that she went around dressed up as the EU flag because she was so depressed that the working classes of this country dare to vote to leave the European Union. She looks down her nose at ordinary people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. 10 to 6. We're live across the UK on Talk, the home of common sense and free speech. We say a very good afternoon. Time. Actually, push the button for sport, will you? I mean, come on. No? Oh. Do you know what? We're trying to be professional and look good, and you can't even push the button. No, it's not her fault, it's the machinery. Alex Shilton, night news editor of The Sun. Welcome to JK's Drive.
Thank you very much.
Alex Shilton. Any relation to Peter?
No relation.
But how many people have said that to you in your life?
Plenty.
Plenty.
Yeah.
So you weren't impressed with that at all?
A little bit. Funnily enough, my father had the same name, so...
Peter Shilton?
I've had it a lot. I've had it a lot.
That's great. Very quickly, is it England playing tonight?
It is playing tonight, yeah.
Why am I? I'm a massive football fan. I now get hacked off when there's Nations League games because I feel like my entire weekend's destroyed. Ryan and I agree with this. Thomas Tuchel, in 325 days in charge, has had 4 games. He's won all 4. But for me, I'm not an aficionado like you. I like football. Has he moved the team on?
It's difficult to tell whether he has. They haven't had the challenges yet. The full competitive games they've had have been 2 against Andorra, that they've won 2-0, a game against Albania and a game against Latvia. So it's difficult to tell whether they have improved. If anything, it feels like they've gone backwards, but tonight feels like the first big test of his reign. If they win tonight, they are effectively one win from going through. So it's a big test. It's going to be intimidating.
I just don't know what it is about England. We all get very excited when the tournament happens, quite rightly, but I'm not that motivated. Nottingham Forest today appointing Ange Postecoglou, ex-Spurs manager, of course, who won their first trophy in the history of time and was sacked 16 days later. I can't say the name. What's the owner of Nottingham Forest?
Evangelos Marinakis.
You did that so brilliantly. They sacked Nuno Espirito Santo. Hardly surprising, to be honest, and I'm not an anti-Nuno person, but he came out and he slagged them all off. They bought about 40 players. What was he moaning about? Did he want to get sacked?
It felt like it a bit. There'd been an issue in the background with their Edu, who was at Arsenal before, their kind of transfer chief. I think they were upset about a player that they hadn't signed, an old player of his, Adama Traore. So it was kind of coming. Nuno saying that there'd been a breakdown in relationship. That it felt
he
like
couldn't get to the chairman. You know, he had to go through Edu.
It felt like there was no coming back from that, really. So it felt like only a matter of time. The defeat to West Ham just felt like the final straw, really. But it'll be interesting to see. They're going from one approach which is quite defensive to a different approach.
And they had a great season.
They did.
They did. And also Alexander Isak. Now, you know my best mates. Lots of my best mates live in Newcastle, and let me tell you, he'll never be welcome back in Newcastle. He today claims that fans still don't know the full story of his controversial £130 million move to Liverpool. Yeah, they do you down tools, mate, to get what you wanted, right? They're not interested in you.
It felt like that. It's just why it's the centre of it for him had been the contract.
Yeah.
The contract that he said he was told he was going to be offered. That in the end didn't come until talks resumed in this summer. And I think really he's just saying that there are little things around the edge that we don't know.
But it was about the German that they bought 70 million for. It didn't look that good in the international games, but we will.
He did not.
No, we will keep it. Very good. Never call him Peter's son again. The excellent Alex Shilton. Thank you very much indeed. That That was our little sports section with the Sun, despite the fact that we patently didn't have the jingle. I'd like to apologise. Stuart Sanford, loving your show. Keep up the good work. All the best. Say hello to Mike. Robbie T, despicable caller, Jez. Well done on ending his bile. No need for that. The person that died in the channel was somebody's mother, sister, wife, says Rob in Dublin. Absolutely. Listen, this is the home of free speech and common sense, but I'm not going to allow people to come on and say horrible things that are unjustifiable and frankly are said by nothing more than just trying to cause trouble. Not having it. There's a difference between free speech and causing trouble. That's in my opinion. South Wales. Mark, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon. Couple of minutes. What you got?
Hiya, Jeremy. It's about this attack on the Hamas leaders today.
Yes.
If you do the most cursory research, these guys were billionaires, £3 to £5 billion each. And where do you think all that money comes from? They don't run businesses. They're not from rich families. They've just for years been creaming off the aid that's going into Gaza and all the money that comes from Iran, etc., putting so-called taxes on goods that move through Gaza. And they've been leaving their population living in rubble while they have the high life with billions of pounds. If all that aid had been spent in Gaza, it would be like the old Beirut was. It would be like the sort of Riviera of the Eastern Mediterranean.
Could not agree with you more. Could not. Of course, there will be international condemnation. I completely understand that as well. I've said till I'm blue in the face, I don't like to see what's going on, but war is horrible. This started with vile attacks on October the 7th, and Israel has said, be it with or without the support of the world, we will root out those Hamas leaders, those people who are, if you like, pushing that ideology. So, listen, good call. I really appreciate that. What is it, 5 to 6? Where does the time go? Ladies and gentlemen, this man works harder than even me. Mike Graham, MG, loving the new shirt.
Thank you very much. I bought it in America.
Did you?
Yes, Brooks Brothers.
Don't lie down in the middle of the road. I think you're a zebra crossing.
Very good.
I was listening to you at 6 o'clock this morning again.
I know. It's
full
unbelievable, isn't it?
What's your favourite story of the day that you can actually now... I mean, I don't know. I thought you were a bit unfair this morning.
Yeah.
Right, if I want to break into your country, right, and I want to... And you only put me in a detention centre in a billet, and I'm not in a hotel for 4 weeks, and I don't get steak and chips, and I don't get a mobile phone. I haven't seen a doctor. And why shouldn't I sue you by using your money? Why are you being so unfair to me?
Well, because I know you can't keep it going, can you? Do you know who I'd like to have a word about is the lawyers who are representing these characters.
Somebody said to me, why don't we deport them?
Well, we don't have to deport them, we just have to shut them down. I'm sorry, you operate under the auspices of the British court system, and that's what, people who have got common sense in this debate will do. They will get us out of the ECHR, they will dislocate us from this human rights nonsense, because we've got our own Bill of Rights, and you can have human rights if you live here, if you pay into the system, and if you work here.
I don't see why we have to base human rights on being told by everybody else what our human rights laws are. Can't we make our own laws?
What about my human rights not to give away public money to people who are criminals, who have come to this country illegally, and who are complaining that because they've been put up in perfectly reasonable conditions, by the way, that they don't like, that we somehow have to give them a load of compensation.
Here's the thing, and I go further. Apart from all of that, we shouldn't have to pay for lawyers. I completely agree. We shouldn't pay compensation. I would make the conditions the minute they set foot, or even if they don't set foot, as bad as possible. People won't like this, I don't care, so that the message gets back that we're not a soft, bloody touch, and the pull isn't as good, because the same thing applies. The first country you get to where bombs are not raining on your head, why wouldn't you stop there? I'll tell you exactly why. Because Great Britain gives you more.
Right, and what I would also do is make them sign some kind of waiver. If they come into this country, they will only do so under certain conditions. To wit, number one, you will not sue us. Number two, you will not commit a crime against us. Number three, you will not become a vagrant. And number four, you will not molest anybody in any way whatsoever. And if you do any of those four things, you get put either straight into a prison cell or you get deported. Simple as that.
We need to build more prisons. How much time have you got? Because there's so much.
A little bit of time. I mean, my other pet story this morning was Ed Miliband.
Mate, if you are tuning on, I've got to keep you off the news, because he, the net zero zealot, is a liar.
He is a liar.
In a shocking development.
And a hypocrite as well, because he has been very noisy about putting a heat pump into his house. These are the most ridiculous things ever invented. They make a terrible noise, right? You have to have a massive house in order to put one in, because you either have to bury things in the garden. I don't mean, former cabinet ministers. You have to bury people in the garden. Or you have to have a massive sort of garage to put the engine of this thing in, right? And what it doesn't do is heat the house terribly well. You have to spend thousands of pounds putting all new pipes in. Now, he's done that in his house in North London, right?
Has he?
Which you can imagine we paid for sure. Because,
Yes,
of course,
because he's a cabinet minister who can't eat a bacon
But it turns
sandwich.
out he's got a second house in Doncaster, which is where his constituency is.
Is that his second house, though, or is it his third? Is his constituency Doncaster?
It's a very good question.
Has he got a house in Hove?
You'd have to say his first house should surely be where he spends most of his time, right?
Yeah.
And if he doesn't spend most of his time in Doncaster, then I guess that's his second home.
Yeah.
In any event, because it's his second home, we have to pay for his electricity and his gas, right? The taxpayer. So not only is he not put a heat pump there because he's got a gas boiler, which he wants all of us to get rid of, but we're now paying for his electricity supply and his gas supply out of his expenses.
Did you know that he apparently Starmer wanted to move him and he refused?
Yeah, and he refused to go.
So how has he got so much power?
And that's how weak Starmer is, because
How
Starmer's...
much power has that millipede got then?
Well,
Quite a lot.
he's actually very well thought of by the left of the party. So
Is
he's
he?
one of the few people who's left in the cabinet.
Who's left?
Who's left in the cabinet? Who actually is entirely in control of, a huge bulk of the votes of the backbenchers, because they all really like him. Which tells you something.
It's actually quite interesting, and I back up entirely what you say, because the other day they had Labour's members, and he was top of them at 73%.
They love him.
They love incompetence.
And they love Angela Rayner.
Who?
Angela Rayner. Remember her?
Who?
Angela Blamer, some people call her.
Oh, yes. I mean, poor Angela. We were obviously working.
Can you imagine on Friday, as I was driving up to the Reform conference, listening to people, I thought she died. The way they were talking about
Well,
it.
her career did.
Her career's gone, finished, right?
Live by the sword, die by the sword would be my phrase.
These kind of Labour MPs are being wheeled out. That's such a tragic situation for Angela.
But not tragic when you were quite rightly putting in the boot the Tories have got caught with their noses in the trough.
And also not tragic that she's actually broken the rules, as has been discovered by the ethics advisor to the government, who has said that she's broken ministerial rules.
They're terrified. And can you stay for 2 minutes afterwards? Because the deputy leadership of the Labour Party is fun. Plus, an even greater story, ladies and gentlemen, is that the tube strikers, the drivers in London, in their negotiations, don't just want to have about 100%. They want 2-for-1 tickets to Legoland. I mean, could you make this rubbish up?
I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible. They only want to work 32 hours a week, 4 days a week.
News at 6 next.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
2 minutes past 6, we're live across the UK. Part 3 of Tuesday's Drive Time, and the legend that is MG. This man, in his new shirt, works like a dog. He's back tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, Morning Glory. I had such a blast doing that. What a weekend we had.
I know, incredible, wasn't it?
Mike and I were doing we were at Reform, the party conference. I was hosting, he was doing a panel. And you found the attention extraordinary.
I did, really, because almost like everybody that I saw there was a fan of Talk. You know,
Took you half an hour, didn't it? I'm not going to lie to you. It took him half an hour to go 50 yards.
Yeah, because I kept being stopped by people who wanted a picture, which was fantastic, you know, and I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying I was quite taken aback by how friendly everybody was,
common sense,
by how much they love the station, by how much they love the shows, by how much they just really, really are into Plank of the Week, you know, which we're going to be filming again soon.
I loved this is a great story I'll give you from the conference. You love this. Ryan's looking really... Mike goes on stage to do a panel and he goes, it's about lawlessness, and he said, which is quite ironic, ladies and gentlemen, because on the way from the hotel over to the conference centre, this woman and her husband came out and said, oh God, another woman, and she said, oh Mike, what are you doing? He said, I'm doing a panel on lawlessness, and she said,
that's good, because we just had our car nicked. And I said, from where? And she went, the car park, the hotel car park. And then one of the security guards was standing next to us, a local guy, Brummie, and he went, yeah, it's really bad in Birmingham. We said, all cars are getting nicked all the time.
He didn't. He went, oh no, Mate, it's not good up there. He said, the bloody nick them all the time.
I didn't want to do the voice, but he was like, yeah, it's terrible here. You know.
Terrible here, mate.
Yeah.
No, it was great. And you know, there were critics of the reform thing. That's absolutely fine. But I thought it was interesting to see workers and people of all levels interested and invested in the whole thing.
And also a very different vibe. You know, I've been to party conferences before, and they're usually pretty dull affairs, to be honest. They're full of kind of, you know, anoraks and lobbyists and people who just want to stroke their chins and, like, look important and
I ran around doing hours with that bloody microphone. Hagrid was there.
The Jeremy Kyle special. It was great. I thought it was really interesting. I think they've got a real vibe going. Yeah. And everybody was
A woman said
lovely.
to me this morning on the school gate, the thing about it is, though, they've got work to do. Of course they have. All politicians have got work to do.
But people talk about them not being ready for government as if the people in government are doing a good job.
They had 2 years to get ready, and they didn't even let the woman that planned it for 100 days is gone before the 100 days
lasted 93 days.
Ridiculous.
And Starmer said before they got in July that they were ready for government in every department. They were absolutely ready to hit the ground running.
Dreadful lies.
They had a plan. They had no plan.
No,
they still haven't got a plan.
No. Talking of which, the Labour Party deputy leadership. I mean, now I've got a take on this. So. I don't know whether it's sexist or virtue signaling. It seems only to be women, but I want us to start a campaign.
Yes.
Now, I want you to just listen to where I get.
Okay.
I want us to throw our weight behind Emily Thornberry.
Right.
Because Emily Thornberry,
She's the heavyweight candidate.
She is the heavyweight candidate. She's the one who hates the British flag and any man in a white van. But she, of course, was a loyal sort of deputy to Starmer, and he knifed her like you couldn't believe.
Did.
And the horror that would unfold if Dame Emily Thornberry won the deputy leadership would be great. As would
also known, by the way, as Lady Noogie. That's her other name.
Also, it would be as angry for Starmer if Lucy Powell, who he fired last week as the leader of the Commons, she's a half-wit.
Yeah.
That's not me that said that, Benedict Spence. It would also be great if Bridget Phillipson won, only because she's bitter and twisted that she lost half of a department to Pat McFadden.
Yes, indeed. And I think, though, that he would prefer her. I think I was talking to Ryan Saby this morning.
Right.
And she would probably likely be his preferred candidate.
Right.
Because what they're trying to do is not have a terrible bun fight, not have things thrown at each other, you know, not get very bitter and twisted.
And Phillipson's quite ambitious,
She's very ambitious, right? So she will have accepted the fact that Pat McFadden, who's a sort of big beast in the cabinet, who was in the Blair government as well, is taking away apparently her skills basket.
Because she hasn't got any skills in her basket.
Have you seen her? She's already going for the Angela Rayner card. Have you seen her tweet today?
What did she say?
She says, I'm running to be deputy leader of the Labour Party as a proud working class woman from the North East.
Well, yeah,
I have come from a tough Council Street all the way to the cabinet. I'll be a strong voice to unite our party, take the fight to reform.
We've gone Welsh, she's gone to Wales.
And deliver for our country.
Oh, lovely, is it?
So she's pulling the working class card already.
Well, I have lots of... You know our Rob, you know Graham, you know more. Listen, I would imagine...
I'd be interested to know what they think of her.
Honestly, why... do you know what's really interesting about that whole Labour idea of let's utilise our links to the working classes? I had a text text earlier, and he's saying his dad was a train driver and he was a union official. He'd be turning in his grave, he said, because it's rubbish now. They were doing what they thought was right for society, if you like. But now, it's extraordinary in my mind. There's no doubt, though, unless it's I don't want it to be Bridget Phillipson now, then, because that would make it too. Starmer's in trouble, isn't he?
Big trouble. Big trouble.
Let's talk about striking union demands. TfL, obviously, I'm aware this show goes across the country, and I hate to make it London-centric, but the tube strike is on, and it's pretty dire for people getting around.
I mean, London right now is being held to ransom by these characters.
It is, and it's interesting. Is that dreadful man that's the chap? What's he called
Mick
again?
Lynch.
No, Sadiq Khan.
Oh, him.
Good. He's only offering 3 point. Actually, why am I saying only? He's offering 3.5%, and even he's realised that actually they can't afford it. I don't know what. Do we know what this lot want?
Yeah, they want a 4-day working week, right? To work no more than 32 hours.
They want to work one?
32 hours.
I'm on slightly dodgy ground here.
I know you are, but that's fine because you're not paid by the public purse, though, so that's your get out, okay? You're not asking the public for money.
And I've got to do things on Thursdays and Fridays.
You've got other things to do. Yeah. You've got philanthropic work that you may be getting on with.
I am absolutely philanthropic doing things.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
On the fifth hole, very philanthropic.
Yes, very philanthropic
anyway,
when I get to the fifth.
No, but the point is that in the end, these people will just ask for things that they haven't got just for the sake of it. For example, do you know that they get free travel, of course, everywhere in the London area, and very much reduced travel everywhere else? They also get discounted travel on Eurostar, not just for them, but for their partners and other members of their family.
So this lot want 32-hour weeks, 4-day weeks.
Yeah.
They want a rise, they want all that they get, and here we are, ladies and gentlemen. They would like 2-for-1 entry to theme parks, like Legoland, like Chessington World of Adventures, like Thorpe Park, also included guided tours of Buckingham Palace and a drag-themed night out in Soho. Honestly,
why drag themed night out in Soho?
I don't know, but Keith Prince, the Conservatives transport spokesman at City Hall, I've never heard of him, described the union's demands as a joke and said ordinary Londoners will not support the ongoing walkouts. No. How can you support a trade union that wants free tickets to go to Legoland and Chessington World? Why are they so entitled, these people?
Well, the other thing is, when their shift begins, when your shift begins is probably when either you get to the office or when your show starts, right?
About 6 o'clock in the morning with 6 kids, and your show's on every morning.
Mine's on even earlier.
I wake up to you.
Yeah, but do you know when their shift begins? Their shift begins when they leave their house.
Oh,
right?
for God's sake, man!
So if you're a driver and you've got an 8-hour shift and it takes you maybe half an hour to get to work and half an hour to get home, you're actually only then doing 7 hours on the job.
Imagine the people who can't get anywhere, RMT drivers. Their shift doesn't start from when it now takes them 3 hours to do the commute there and back. I saw people today just really struggling.
It's really difficult because in previous strikes they've run a sort of skeleton service, so you've been able to get somewhere. My local tube station just got bars over it. It's just shut completely. You can't go anywhere near
What do we think, Pete? So 344 499 1000. The RMT union would like, as well as more money, less days, more holiday, they'd like 2-for-1 entry to theme parks like Legoland, Chessington World of Adventures and Thorpe Park. How is that a reality in my country? How does that work?
Why should they get a discount for something that we all have to pay for? We're already subsidising. It's already the fare payers and the taxpayers that actually pay their salaries.
Now, just because this is so red meat for us, we've talked migrants crossing payouts, we've talked Labour MPs, we've talked Ed Miliband. The BBC.
Oh, yes.
Let's remind ourselves what Tim Davie, this is Tim Davie, the Director General of the BBC, in front of the MPs today, he said, well, I think there'll be a lot more scandals. Let's play it, fingers crossed, go.
Are you able to assure us today, are you able to give us your categorical assurance that whenever we next have you in front of us, there won't be a scandal of BBC talent abusing their position, which you need to apologise for?
We are seeing people call it out, and that is a positive change, but it's ongoing work. I don't think you can change culture in 6 months and suddenly say nothing's going to occur. We may see more things coming out because in some ways I'm asking for it and being utterly transparent and running towards the problem. That's what we need to do.
Why have we suddenly got a government, a Home Secretary who wants to sort out the boats, and the Director General of the BBC who's going to get rid of all the problems? This has been going on for years. Have they suddenly realised the British people are serious, MG?
I think they've suddenly realised that they might be in a position where they're going to lose their jobs. I think that's the only thing they care about, right? Ed Davie? No, Tim Davie. No, let's not talk about Ed Davie. Tim Davie
you've ruined my afternoon.
Has been a complete useless disgrace running the BBC. He's allowed all manner of scandals to go on. He keeps saying, oh, we're going to learn lessons. He's now apparently running towards the problem. You don't have to run towards the problem. You just have to look into the complaints
you know how old we are, right? You know how did you ever go, well, I'm going to kick the can down the road, or I'm going to run towards the problem, or I'm going to have a brainstorming session as to what I think would be a good strategy? No, just dealt with it.
Yeah, just deal with it. You know, you can go through the complaints that have been lodged with various presenters, with various situations in the BBC that we could name probably half a dozen of right now, and sort them out and get rid of the people who are the problem.
I used to do a television show.
I remember.
And the BBC was in the next door studio, and they used to look at me as if I'd gone into their house on Christmas Day and weed on their Christmas tree, and that was on a daily basis. And there is a part of me, and I'm being completely honest here, that doesn't glorify in this, but you do suddenly think, you know, if you're gonna cast the first, just be really careful, because patently there's a lot of this that's gone on, and it's another big organisation that there's no control over, and they've let it go. I mean, you only have to look at Savile. I mean, it did ridiculous.
And there's so many, and it's also as if it's not as if there's not anybody there who has no other job other than to oversee what's happening.
The man allowed that Bob Villain or whatever he was shout death to the IDF. He allowed that to be streamed for 5 extra hours, Tim Davie, and 2 people went, do you think that's a bit anti-Semitic?
And he even got a phone call from the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, Lisa Nandy, who I'm no fan of, who actually rang him. He was at Glastonbury, he took the call, and she said, why are you allowing this to go out? And he kept letting it go out.
No, I'm no fan of hers, but you're absolutely right, and credit where credit's due. She did that. She kept her job, didn't she?
I think so, yeah.
I thought
it's hard to keep up, to be honest. I'm not quite sure. I think Heidi Alexander's still Secretary of State for Transport. That's the other one we haven't talked about.
No, she isn't. She got stuck. Oh,
Lou
sorry.
Haig. No, Lou Haig is the one that we got to watch out for as well.
The one with the blue hair who went, this is our new Transport Secretary. Sorry, she's not anymore. She nicked a mobile phone or somebody. Well, you didn't check that before you gave her the job?
And then she not only nicked it, but she then reported that the phone was stolen with the message sent from the phone that she said was stolen. That's how brilliant and bright she is. You're not exactly a master criminal.
It's unbelievable. And here's the interesting thing. I told you this at the weekend, and I'll probably get into trouble, but there you go. So I had a KC for a few years about a case. Anyway, about 3 months after my thing finished, I rang him, and I said, where are you? Have I told you this? And he said, I'm at the Labour Party conference. And I went, the Labour Party conference? And he said, Jez, I'm a defamation KC, the best. All MPs of both sides use me. And I said, so they're all the same. He said, the only difference, this is true, between the Labour Party, he said, and the Tory Party is the Tory Party like drugs and rent boys, and the Labour Party are obsessed with one thing and one thing only, money.
Yeah, well, we always used to say that.
Really interesting.
Every Labour scandal's about money, and every Tory scandal's about sex, pretty much.
It's interesting. 6:15, 0344 499 1000. In terms of the overall view of where we're at, right, in terms of, I mean, Nigel was saying, and we were there, that he believes that there could be an election as early as 2027. You look at where this government is, you think they're going to have to go on bended knee to the IMF, whether the IMF's got enough money. Financially, we seem to be under the power of a woman who doesn't know what she's doing. This government, is it in free fall? Does it last 4 years? What's your take, buddy?
I mean, I've been saying since last summer, and I said this to Nigel Farage, you know, that there will be something that will dislodge Keir Starmer and the government, and everybody who's an expert, all these experts who always get it wrong, by the way, keep saying to me, oh, but there's no mechanism by which you can get rid of Keir Starmer because the Labour government doesn't do that.
Liz Truss lasted 47 days. I'd say we're in a worse position than we were.
But, you know, it's correct to say that it is more difficult to remove Labour Prime Ministers, but it will be done, it can be done, and people are now talking about it seriously as if it's about when it actually happens, because they are in a terrible place, because come the budget, November the 26th, right, she's going to have nowhere to go. Oh, Rachel Thieves, Richard III, she's going to have
to find 50 billion quid, mate. She's going to tax everybody.
Well, by then it'll be 100 billion, because they're literally borrowing 20 billion a month just to pay off the interest. So it's 50 billion now, but it's going to be double that come
Did they not think, on a serious note, when they got in, did they not think... I mean, I've failed maths O level many times, I'm used to this, but I'm all right if I have a winner on the horses. If you've got £22 billion debt, right, you'd try and save some, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You wouldn't spend 11 billion straight away on a bunch of doctors who are going to cost you another 11 billion a year later. You wouldn't give away 16 billion to the Mauritians, would you? You'd thought, how am I going to save...
money to train drivers as well.
The Mauritians?
No, the train drivers.
Oh, train drivers. Yeah, I love the Mauritian story. They're all income tax free for 18 months. We're all screwed. I mean, they literally, when you talk about no plan, did they just think, to coin that kicker, do they think it's just going to be OK then?
Well, Liz Truss was in my show just the other day, and she said all of these things that they brought into power when they first got in, you know, Rachel Reeves's plan to cut pensioners, you know, fuel poverty plan, all of the things for raising national insurance. She said, I've seen all that. He said, they brought all that to me when she was there. The Treasury said, well, you can do this, you can do that. And she went, I'm not doing any of that. Don't want to do any of that. That's not my policy. And so they've just literally fallen.
This is completely off the track. Does she admit that she did it too quickly? Does she still stand by what she believes in?
She admits that she didn't do it right, but she still stands by what she wanted to do.
A lot of people now says that fiscally she was right.
Fiscally, if she had been allowed to carry on with what she was going to do, she says that she would have created growth. Because the way to create growth is not to tax people more, it's to tax them bleeding less.
Yeah.
You know, because people then have more of their money that they can spend on other things. You know, if you haven't got much money to spend, you're not going to go and spend it. But if suddenly you get a tax rebate, you go, oh, I might go and buy myself a new suit or something, or maybe I'll...
A new shirt,
or maybe I'll put some money down on a new car. But people are sitting around now going, not only do I not have as much money as I had this time last year, but I don't know how much I'm going to have less in 3 months' time.
There was a text earlier from a guy that had been working all day.
Yeah.
I'm 2 weeks in. I'm on the... I can't even go and have a pint.
No.
I'll scrape for the next 2 weeks. And he said, I'm in the car listening to you just thinking, why do I bother?
Although, you know what happened to me yesterday on the way home?
What?
We were a little bit early for the train after you dropped us off. So we went to Wetherspoons.
See, see what happens? My life's so boring. You went to the bar after I dragged you out of the bar.
Yeah, I did.
It's like taking a naughty boy out of school, and I put you on the train, you got off the train and went to the bar.
My travelling companion,
very important lady,
wanted a pint of cider. And I went, all right, love.
Okay, she won't name her. She wanted a pint of cider.
Pint of cider.
Very high up lady, by the way. Classy.
So I asked for a pint of cider. I, of course, had a glass of wine. Do you know how much the cider was?
Is it that fruit cider, that copper-glubble?
No, it wasn't that, no. It had a different name. It wasn't that one, no.
I have that with ice, and people say it's not very manly. £8.
£1.99. I'm not
Where did you take her? Aldi?
Wetherspoons.
Oh, you went to Spoons, did you?
Spoons in
See, my kids go, we're off to Spoons. What do you mean we're off to Spoons? That was a game.
£1.99.
That's cheap.
You can't even buy a bar of chocolate for that.
So now, a woman who drinks cider is your ideal date.
Well, I mean, imagine, you know, you can buy 10 of those and you haven't spent 20 quid.
£19.90p, I love it. Good man. And then you got on the train.
And then we got on the train.
It took me 4.5 hours to come back.
Why did you go all the way back to Bournemouth?
I didn't go to... Don't live in Bournemouth, please.
Well, you know what I mean. I didn't want to give away where you live.
No, absolutely. Because I'd promised Oliver to take him to school this morning, because he's got a thing going on. So that was fun. He wanted to show me his work. But it was fine. I was just saying, just to finish this segment, how wonderful it was yesterday for James.
It was a great send-off.
But my favourite moment was when the third whistling arrow was fired after the first two, and a lorry drove past, and I so wanted it. James would have loved it if it had caught the side of the lorry. The awning had come down to show us 5 migrants hidden behind a box. Whaley would have absolutely loved it. It was great, but I thought I just thought it was wonderful, and I didn't know about the archery, but I just, for his family, his granddaughter speaking, it was a real treasure.
It was incredible, yeah.
And somebody said behind us in the church, you had your arm round Mike Graham. It was so tight, wasn't it? I was sat sideways.
Listen, if I hadn't lost any weight, we wouldn't have been able to do that at all. You know, like 6 months ago, we would have.
I would have had to sit outside.
Chuck would have had to.
With Eamon.
Yeah, well, exactly right.
Poor old Eamon couldn't get his
couldn't get in.
Couldn't get his motorised thing over the lip.
Yeah.
But anyway,
13th century church, mind you.
Beautiful church, really beautiful, and our respect to the late great. We'll never forgive him. Never forget him. By the way, he was unbelievable. He was a pioneer.
I played that little montage of stuff this morning just because I wanted to, and it's so funny. So, you know, if you want to do it, go for it.
What montage?
There's a little montage just of James Wales, shows.
Oh,
it's
mate.
3 minutes long. It's brilliant.
Listen, for people who hate everything I do, you can posthumously blame James, because he is the only reason I got into this.
Fantastic.
The guy was a pioneer, and he did. The thing is, I'll tell you why he was so clever. People thought all he did was put the phone down and didn't care. He was street. The man did a television show, a recorded radio show 35 years ago.
Right.
Ask Chris Evans what he thinks.
And
I mean,
people
amazing.
said, who knew television then, never seen anybody like him for just doing live television.
They just did a wire from the radio to the television.
And just doing live television.
Genius.
It's just natural.
We loved him and we missed him. Mate, thank you so much indeed. Tomorrow, I'm going to ask the question. I know what he's going to say. What's on breakfast?
No idea. No idea.
We love you. Plank of the week tomorrow as well. The legend that is Mike Graham. Back tomorrow morning with Morning Glory. 6:21. We're live across the UK. You want to be part of it? 0344 499 1000. I'm off for a wee. I'll see you in 3.
What a disaster that would be. I'm sorry, but Emily Thornberry is just the biggest snob in British politics, as far as I can tell. We all remember when she sneered at White Van Man, who had his flag flying out his front room window. We all remember that she went around dressed up as the EU flag because she was so depressed that the working classes of this country dare to vote to leave the European Union. She looks down her nose at ordinary people.
Well, Ed Miliband being branded an eco-hypocrite this morning in The Sun as well, because, of course, the Energy Secretary boasted in February that he'd installed a heat pump at his house. Now, I don't know who paid for that, but I can bet your bottom dollar that it was probably us. But it turns out that he's also got another property in Doncaster, South Yorkshire, and it's got a gas boiler in it. And he hasn't replaced the gas boiler. And worse than that, not only has he not replaced the gas boiler, but he's charged us for the bill.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 6:25. We're live across the UK. Thank you for all your text messages. Jez and Mike, how about a Gogglebox type of show of people listening to the BBC? I've been shouting at their coverage all day. I wouldn't even give it that much credit. Ben's in Derbyshire. I've got to eat. No, I've got to get... ridiculous. From Chesterfield to Heathrow Airport tomorrow using public transport. I got a scare yesterday with the evacuation plus the tube strike. If you're not from London, that throws a real spanner in the works. I can't leave early because I've pre-booked my ticket about 6 months ago because it's about 27 quid. If I rebook tomorrow, it's about 127 quid. Why do these people not give a toss about how difficult they're making our lives? Sandy in Gainsborough. Do you know where Gainsborough is, Chloe Dobbs?
No, I don't.
Look it up. I think it's Leicestershire. I could be wrong. If the migrants aren't being processed in good time, so solicitors suggesting suing us, then remedy is remove and deport them. I've worked bloody hard and sick and tired of giving strangers instead of looking after our own ex-forces people like my husband. Lincolnshire. What did I say? You see, Ryan, you're such a clever dude. Clive's in Solihull, which is the posh part of Birmingham. Great show, JK. Why are the world's democracies mourning a group of terrorists who live by the sword and die by the sword? I wish we had a Prime Minister that cared about his people and country as much as the Israelis do. Labour aren't working and they need to go. And finally, Jim in Cambridge. On the train tube drivers, there are the demands. They want 2-for-1 tickets to Legoland. They also want guided tours of Buckingham Palace and a drag-themed night out in a Soho disco. It is absolutely true to say, says Jim in Cambridge, the world has gone mad. Well, not the world, Great Britain. We say a very good afternoon to a woman who deserves huge credit because as I started working at the Reform Party as the host the other day, there were a few microphone problems and you suddenly became you were brilliant. You came around and you ran around the whole conference hall helping me out. How are you, Chloe Dobbs?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
Yeah, well, I'm all right until I read the news and then I want to headbutt the desk. So let me get this right. If you break into our country illegally, and we put you into a detention centre because you've broken in illegally, because it wasn't 4-star and you didn't get, I don't know, your dry cleaning done or a mobile phone or a doctor straight away, although you're in a nice place now, somebody suggested that you go to a left-wing human rights store because we'll pay for that, to sue us because it was horrible when you first came here and we'll give you some more money.
I mean, this drives me insane, given that...
This is more than insanity,
But these people have come from places like Calais and Dunkirk, where they will be living in the most horrific camps. I've been to one of these camps, and it's far worse than any detention centre they'll have been put in here. I'm sure that what they've been in the camps in Calais and Dunkirk, they are absolutely filthy and crime-ridden. You hear gunshots going off and all sorts. They're full of, gangs. I wouldn't want to be a woman or a child there.
And it's in France.
Let's be clear, the people that come to cross the channel, they don't just arrive in Calais and get straight on a boat. Some of them even stay there for a year, saving up the money to go across or trying to get on a lorry each day, but failing. The idea that even if Manston was overcrowded and there were issues there, I highly doubt it was anywhere near as bad as what they were saying in for months on end.
And the reason Chloe Dobbs can say this is you did a television programme and you've been to these places, haven't you?
Yes.
But as an ideology, to say that we, the people in their cars now, not rich people, people who have worked for 10, 12, 8 hours today, As the guy said in his text, he's got nothing left to go for a pint. He's just paying his bills and looking after his kids. Life's pretty dull. When you drive home or you're at home and you listen to that, we're going to pay some... Mike Graham's got a great theory. We should do something about these bloody left-wing lawyers. They should not, I think, be allowed to do this. I think that's absolutely right. I think it's unacceptable, don't you?
I think it's absolutely unacceptable. I mean, the point where I thought, that's it, I am absolutely done with these activist judges, is when that absolute idiot Lord Justice Bean allowed the Home
There's something about his name, isn't there?
I know. I mean, the name is a bit of a red flag as it is. But then he just basically said, planning laws don't matter. Safety concerns don't matter, especially if they're Brit safety concerns, because ECHR, human rights...
But it's a cabal, I've said it.
And it was so
mates.
disrespectful to the judge in the High Court, who had put together, I think it was about 150 pages, his ruling, very carefully detailing why exactly these hotels are breaking all of the planning laws. The Home Office chose to appeal it, which I thought even just appealing it was a big middle finger to the people of Epping and the people of this country. Your government is meant to listen to and work for its people. I thought they were supposed to look
after us. That was
I know. No, they're working for people who come across here illegally. And people have quite rightly had enough. They're fed up of, as you say, you've got people who can't even afford to get a pint and they're counting the pennies trying to pay their rent. Meanwhile, you've got migrants coming across, being given, bouncy castle trips, 50 quid a week on the Aspen cars, special hotels. And then if we don't give them the luxury experience, they go to a bunch of left-wing lawyers and presumably they get legal aid and whatnot from the taxpayer as well. I've just had enough of it.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
I'm 35 years older than you, and I can't ever remember feeling this. I'm not one of those people, but I for the first time in my life, I do think about the country for my kids and my grandkids when I'm gone. I don't understand what's happened to our, in no particular order, backbone. Respect for our own people, treatment of the indigenous population. There's no trust, there's no faith, there's no belief. We seem to be on a course of, we'll do whatever we can for everybody else, to the detriment of our own people. That doesn't work in the end. In the end, that cannot work. Let's talk, that's the migrants. Let's talk about the BBC. Tim Davie today said that he couldn't rule out more scandal. And when somebody said, well, don't you think you need to clear up the BBC? He said, well, that's what I'm doing and I'm calling it out. My comment would be, why has it taken them? Because they're scared of losing their jobs, as MG said, right? Because he knows they're circling, because the man has overseen, I mean, the guy that allowed the IDF thing to continue to be streamed.
I know, I mean, that's just one of a whole string of issues. He's had plenty of issues from the moment he came in. They got shown to have... misrepresented the risks of COVID and vaccinations and all sorts, because they were clearly just pushing government propaganda to make us all adhere to lockdowns. And he's had various issues, including the IDF thing, the Gaza documentary.
Oh, yes, voiced by a 13-year-old son of a Hamas, yes.
Yeah, Greg Rawless scandal. I mean, the list goes on. I can't even keep track of all of them. And I guess what he's doing here is he's trying to manage expectations. He's not going to promise, oh, it's all going to be perfect now, because then he knows if a huge scandal comes out again, which inevitably it will, because it seems to be ridden with problems, he can't say that he's a hypocrite.
But the really interesting thing is, and I take this from the reform thing the other day, when I said at the beginning of the show about how Nigel was saying to his delegates that, they will come for me, and somebody had said to him, have you drunk, smoked, gambled, womanised? He went, yeah, all four. That's times in my life. I'm 67, of course. Because politicians and people like Davey pretend to be squeaky clean, and then problems arrive. Of course, in an organisation like the BBC, but I'll tell you exactly, this is from a broadcaster's point of view, and people will think this is very bitter. It's not. There's more chance of hell freezing over than me ever working for the BBC. Do you know what I hate about the BBC? Is the pious, narcissistic look down their noses at commercial broadcasters, all commercial broadcasters. And there is a part of me, and you could speak to people at other news stations and other channels, Channel 4, Channel 5 and ITV, they would say the same on this, that thinks, you've been so pious for so long. Welcome to the world of somebody shining a light. Oh, there's a surprise. You're not all as sanctimonious as you make out to be, that you're humans who make mistakes. And because you've shouted from the rooftops about how perfect you are and how awful everybody else is for so long, that's why you're having a hard time. And there's a part of me that doesn't like as much of the intrusion. But for the BBC, I feel like they've had it coming, because we pay their wages again. That's the reality, right?
Well, this is the thing, is every time there is a scandal with the BBC, it is far more infuriating for the British public than if it were the same scandal at any other broadcaster. Because when it comes to another broadcaster, people just say, oh, well, I'll turn off. I'm not paying for it. But when it comes to the BBC, people are fed up because they are forced, if they have a TV, to pay this licence fee and pay for the BBC, even if they've got no interest in tuning in.
Absolutely right, mate.
And their requirements, of course, all broadcasters have Ofcom rules, but when it comes to the BBC, their requirement to be impartial on things like the war in Gaza is far higher than anyone else because people are paying for it. They've got a reputation to uphold, and they used to be.
Have they? Not now.
I mean that's what they need to try and do.
I'm going to ask this question fairly. How many people watch the BBC? How many people nowadays have a date with any sort of terrestrial television? I suspect that's changed. But the BBC, I was growing up, my parents, the BBC 9 o'clock news was what they watched. That was, you didn't get involved at that moment. That was on. I don't think it's the case anymore. And I think that as time has gone on, when you look at them and you think, right, you're trying to push something. If you don't agree with that, you're not going to watch it, and you're going to feel very against them as a body. Couple of light-hearted things before you skedaddle. Have we done Legoland tickets?
No, we haven't. I'm very happy to talk about that.
TfL. I don't want to make it all about London, but London is at a gridlock standstill because TfL. This is Sadiq Khan won't offer the RMT more than 3.5%. Because he realises that they're skint. I wish the government were like that. Not that I like him. They don't just want that. They want 2-for-1 entry tickets to theme parks, including Legoland, Thorpe Park and Chessington World of Adventure. Also included, they want guided tours of Buckingham Palace. Why do union officials want to go to Buckingham Palace? I thought most of them hated the monarchy. I could be wrong. They also want, every year, a drag-themed night out in Soho. Sorry, and that's not made up. So are people taking the mickey out of me here? Because I don't understand what we've got to.
They are absolutely taking the mickey. I mean, they've brought the capital to a standstill. And if they were working their butts off 100 hours a week on minimum wage, then fine, I'd say go on strike. These people are protesting against burnout because they have to work a whopping 35 hours a week, Jeremy. Apparently that's too much and it needs to be reduced to 32 hours a week.
4 days. They want for 3 days off.
And I believe they have 43 days a year holiday. It's crazy. I mean, they've got an easy life on a crazy high salary already. For them to be given a pay rise, fewer hours and cheap tickets to Legoland,
do you not know what Mike said?
It's insane.
Do you know what Mike said?
What?
You know, like, when does your working day start? When you do your first interview?
What time do I start?
No, when do you consider? So, say you get out of bed, have breakfast, tell your dog off that eats everything, and then you go online or you go to a studio, yeah?
Yeah, well, it's different schedule every
day. Do you know how their day starts? The minute they leave the house. So even if it takes them half an hour to get to work, MG was just telling me, that's part of their day. It's a joke, man. It's an absolute joke.
Yeah, I mean, it is completely unacceptable. And also, this morning, I went to go and get a coffee from the coffee shop that's near the train station. Poor coffee shop, local independent coffee shop, completely empty. They've got no business because none of the people who take the tube are there anymore. They're creating an absolute storm for everybody. I've had absolute chaos. I've been on line bikes all over the place. It's been madness.
I didn't realise. No, it's a nightmare. Very quickly, also, Ed Millipede is a hypocrite. He's got a bloody gas boiler after all that.
Surprise, surprise. I mean, can the Labour Party go a single day without a hypocrisy scandal? No. I mean, after the huge Angela Rayner storm, which was the ultimate
the housing
example of hypocrisy.
Got lost because of a house. The corruption minister's had to resign because she's being done for corruption, and the homeless minister's had to resign because she threw people out
and
of
now,
a property she owned and made them homeless.
The man who is not just in charge of net zero, but has made it his entire personality, is himself not living the net zero lifestyle because he has got a gas boiler. And then we've got Lord Mandelson in trouble today to do with Epstein as well.
Right.
I mean,
you couldn't make it up.
It's multiple scandals a day with this Labour government. They are crumbling so fast.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Nigel said at the Reform Conference they've got to be ready for 2027 because it is just falling apart so quickly.
Couldn't agree more. Chloe Dobbs, by the way, came on a line bike. Are you going back on a line bike?
Probably.
Bless her.
And I couldn't park the thing because there were so many people all across London trying to use the app at once that it was crashing. So I
don't even know what she's talking about. I tried to get a black cab and in the end I had to walk. It was very, very boring. Chloe Dobbs, we love you. Thank you very much, Steve. We'll see you very soon on the show. Chloe Dobbs, what is it? 21 minutes to 7. Are we going to my favourite person? Ladies and gentlemen, live from LA. Next, after the break, Kinsey Schofield.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Kev O'Sullivan from 7, Petri Hoskins from 10, and of course the legend that is Migrant back with Morning Glory. Tomorrow at 6, just gone 20 to 7, we say a very good evening. We cross the pond, as they say, to our favourite, the star and host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered even. A very good afternoon, Ms Schofield. How are you?
You're awfully lively today, JK. I like this energy from you.
I feel lively. I feel there's a spring in my step and my hat is at a jaunty angle. Also, you've sent the little pipsqueak over here now. We woke up yesterday morning to pictures of Harry bursting through the VIP area, minus the security, of course, and he's been rushing around, you know, laying flowers and messing around with children. He's given £1 million to children in need. Some big PR push, not a sign of the wife. He and the brother seem to be further apart than ever. I had Robert Jobson earlier. I was asking about whether, because there were rumours that King Charles is coming down, and I was asking whether that he thought they would meet, and he said no, he thinks that King Charles's trip down from Scotland is medical-based. What's your information on this?
I agree with him. Can I say something a little salacious?
A little contentious?
A little salacious. Like, I want to say something that might rub some people the wrong way, okay? I think that if you are happy in your marriage and that you are loving your new life in America, you don't go spend 4 days in the UK trying to relive your glory days and trying to change public perception of yourself. I think if you love your new life in America, you focus on making America a better place, and you do charity events like this in America. And I mean, to me, the fact that he is there trying to, you know, improve his public image, trying to win back over his father, in my opinion, I feel like that's a man that is unhappy and is looking to come home.
Well, I don't think that would rub people up in any way who listen and watch this station. I think they would absolutely agree. I'm going to go down a different angle, which will probably have you drop the lower part of your mouth. I don't know how ill our king is. I know that he certainly is about to restart chemotherapy. I wouldn't put it past the prince or his odious wife that the reconnection is all about what I might have and what I might get and what I can benefit from. And I'm talking money, and I make no apology for saying that because I firmly believe that. If he has woken up somewhere in California and realised that he's messed up and that he's lost his family's respect, maybe he can make it work. The problem he's got is that nobody in the royal family thinks that anything they say to him won't be in the newspapers or on the airwaves within about 30 seconds because they don't trust him anymore because he and his odious wife keep opening their mouths to whoever. That's a fair comment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at Spare, look at the hair. And then, you know what? Actions have consequences. The fact that he thinks he can just get away with this stuff and people are going to forgive him. And I even think he recently said that he never thought his brother would forgive him for the book. Well, you know what? You went after his wife, who just dealt with a horrific cancer experience. Not only was she fearful of her longevity, but she had the entire internet attacking her. Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty sensitive towards the fact that you've gone after his family, who he loves very deeply. The same way that Harry loves Meghan and claims that all of his poor actions were a direct result.
Are you telling me you think there's as much love between Harry and Meghan as there is between William and Kate?
No, I'm just saying Harry tries to justify his actions by saying, I'm protecting my wife or I'm defending my wife. Well, we've got the future queen over here, you know, and a woman that has truly dedicated decades of her life to a life of service to this family, whereas Meghan Markle couldn't cut it after 17 months. She gave up. She's a quitter.
I love listening to you about Meghan Markle because she just put it so brilliantly. I mean, if I asked you to sum up Meghan Markle in 2 sentences, what would it be?
I think she is a quitter who does not value family and does not respect elders. I think that I overstated, but I apologize.
No, you're brilliant. So we all seem to think that actually this I want to make myself look good we're quite cynical about it. He seems to almost be on steroids. He's bouncing around the place, laughing and joking as if he believes that the British people... Actually, this is an interesting thing for me, just to finish. I think the British people's opinion is dead set about Meghan Markle. I think it's more dead set than he thinks about him as well. I think he thinks that people will forgive him. I'm not sure it would be that easy.
I'm seeing some positive headlines, but okay, we're seeing positive headlines, but think about Roya's report in the Times over the weekend that Harry and his team specifically picked Sussex-friendly media to accompany him. So when you see those positive headlines, keep that in the back of your head. This is somebody that's been handpicked by Harry and his team because they knew they were going to get positive press. So yes, I'm seeing those stories that he's not being booed, that people are excited to see him when he walks in the room. And you know what? Okay, I'll give him some credit. He's always going to be the son of Diana, Princess of Wales. He's always going to be the son of the current king. Yes. But he's not getting booed because all of this is highly choreographed and because they are limiting who he has access to. And we're hearing about how wonderful his trip is because he's handpicked media. I do think that we just heard from Sally Bedell-Smith and through Lady Elizabeth Anson, the way that the Queen felt towards the end of her life about Prince Harry. She could not believe he would turn his back on after serving. She couldn't believe that he would just walk away from the royal family. We continuously hear stories about the Queen's true feelings towards Prince Harry's actions, and we've seen them. Actions speak louder than words. He can go pay respects to his grandmother at Windsor, but he made the last few years of her life a living hell.
We love having you on, mate. I know you're always... What time is it with you?
It is. It's only 10:48 a.m.
Oh, my God. I'm going home for dinner. You've got a whole day ahead of you.
Aren't you coming to see me soon? Are you coming?
I'm coming in 2 weeks' time. Yes, I am. We'll sort it out.
All right. I look forward to it.
Love you. Thanks so much indeed. The amazing Kinsey Schofield, live and exclusive to Drive Times, 12 minutes to 7.
They're not just a family, they're an institution. And I love the monarchy. I believe in the monarchy from afar, from a foreign country that fought a war not to have it. And they can't, it's not just about a family, it's about protecting the future of the monarchy and the institution for not only Prince William, but Prince George. King Charles knows that he's jeopardizing that with any sort of meeting with Prince Harry.
What a disaster that would be. I'm sorry, but Emily Thornberry is just the biggest snob in British politics, as far as I can tell. We all remember when she sneered at White Van Man, who had his flag flying out his front room window. We all remember that she went around dressed up as the EU flag because she was so depressed that the working classes of this country dare to vote to leave the European Union. She looks down her nose at ordinary people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's 8 minutes to 7. We say a very good evening to Will Barker, Deputy Head of News at The Sun. Good evening. Why aren't you in the studio, man?
Well, every so often I work from home. You know, they let me out and about, and here I am.
I don't know. But listen, great. We've got to get on. We're busy. Packed programme and a packed newspaper tomorrow. Operation Judgment Day. Hamas, of course, attacked by Israel. Their leaders in Qatar in shock airstrikes said to have been backed by Donald Trump. This headline's the story tomorrow in The Sun.
Yes, so we've got Ed Southgate out in Israel, and he told us earlier on that the Israelis were very confident they've, in this incredibly bold strike in Qatar, taken out the sort of senior leadership of Hamas. Subsequently, we're hearing Hamas are saying they survived the attack. So over the next few hours, we'll see what actually happens. But the Israelis are very confident. They've had 2 months in the planning to carry out this strike, where they've sent 15 jets in, dropped 10 bombs, and wiped out the negotiating team out in Qatar.
Chris Parry said earlier on this show that he believes that the Qataris, despite their outrage, will have known that those jets were in their airspace. More in The Sun tomorrow. Blonde bombshell, a mystery blonde who appears in the newly released Jeffrey Epstein files, claimed to have met Prince Andrew and sat on the Queen of England's throne during a visit to BP. More pressure on the I won't say the wrong thing, the Duke of York.
It is much more pressure on him. I mean, it's incredible that we know already that he invited all these people into the Spacey and all these other people into the palace. Turns out that he invited a 22-year-old restaurant waitress as well. And we don't know who she is. She left this very strange message in this 50th birthday book to Epstein. But the hunt is on at the moment to find out who the mystery woman is.
The Sun will be doing that. We talked about this story there as well tomorrow on the paper, BBC. More scandals coming. This is Tim Davie in front of the Commons Select Committee saying, you know, have you weeded it out? No, there could be more coming because I'm being transparent. I would respectfully suggest it's because he knows his job's hanging by a thread because he hasn't actually cleansed the BBC, although he's been promising it for years. Would that be unfair?
I think that's probably very fair. I mean, he's tried to whitewash, tried to clean out the BBC, as you say, but he's given his version today. But if you buy the paper tomorrow, I think there might be a little bit more in his in tray as well.
Oh, anything to give us on that?
Can't really tell. There's some more coming up. It's been worked on at the moment.
A scandal, maybe?
Well,
do we believe that Davey knew that when he did that press conference today, Will? Which is he preempting?
I think he probably didn't know that it was. I think it was in the offing. He knew it was in the offing anyway.
It's really interesting, isn't it? I said earlier, when you got an organisation that big, of course there'll be problems. But the problem the BBC has is they're paid by us. So they're answerable to us. That's why the licence fee is such a bloody issue. If you're a commercial broadcaster, you're not. But you know, we have to work to get people to advertise on our stations and buy spaces in our newspapers. But I think that's the problem with the BBC. It's that sort of sanctimonious, we're getting your money, whatever our standards, which is why I think the light shines brighter. So just a bit of an exclusive from Will Barker, Deputy Head of the News at The Sun. Tim Davie, the BBC, there might be more on that, or there might be more in his in tray come tomorrow.
Yes.
Great. I like the way you've done that. And this is my favourite story of the day. St George's Cross has appeared on the most famous White Horse landmark in the United Kingdom. This is, of course, Westbury's White Horse in Wiltshire. They've gone and put red lines on the White Horse. This is fantastic. Wiltshire Council have gone barking mad, haven't they?
Well, also, and the English Heritage as well have got very po-faced about it all. Of
course they have.
But they woke up this morning, found these red marks. They were horrified, thought it was paint at first, thought it'd been all vandalised, this old 1700 year, from 1700s rather. And
it was red lines. It was like
red lines
streamers.
on the horse, and it's all good fun. But shockingly, ladies and gentlemen, and viewers of Talk and readers of The Sun, police locally have said they're not investigating as no crime has been committed, but chiefs at the English Heritage didn't see the funny side and said they will remove them as soon as possible. Red fabric should not be on our horse. Oh, it's ridiculous. But I mean, everybody's getting involved in this flag, thing that there's going up on the streets, on the roundabouts.
I can't drive anywhere. We went to James Well's funeral yesterday. As you know, we went from sort of the Bournemouth, Southampton area all the way over to Kent. They're on motorway bridges. They're on the sides of the roads. I mean, I've had hundreds of people say to me, why can't we fly our flag? Why can't we be proud of our flag? I mean, Wiltshire County Council have previously said that those spray painting highways in Wiltshire are committing vandalism. It's not nationalism. It should be arrested. I mean, it's just a joke. Did you hear Mike Graham last week? So there's a problem with there's a way to cure the pothole things. Paint white and red crosses in the potholes, and the council will come and fill them in, which would be all right. WB, are you on tomorrow then? Or
I am. I shall see you in the studio tomorrow.
Oh, you'll be in the studio, but in the Sun tomorrow. Operation Judgment Day, the blonde bombshell, the Epstein, more scandals from the BBC, and an exclusive from Will Barker. That could include more in Tim Davies' in tray tomorrow. I think you know what that means. And St George and the Horse. Top man, thank you, Will Barker, Deputy Head of News at The Sun, of course. Buy the newspaper tomorrow. It has got its finger on the pulse more than anybody I know. What is it, 3 minutes to... I haven't seen this man for 2 weeks, and I saw him yesterday at James's funeral, and then you left, you ran off. Kevin, it is Kevin, isn't it? I've forgotten your name.
That is my name, Jim. Is that
yeah, Jim.
Jim Kyle, right? Yeah.
Kinsey talking about Prince Harry, where every interview is staged. What? Yeah, she's right. Wow, Kinsey's smile. We love Kinsey. Kinsey. How are you, my friend? Wasn't it wonderful yesterday?
Yeah, it was great service. Because I had to get on air, I basically had to do a U-turn.
What's your name?
Here.
Starmer?
Yeah, race back here. I only just made it.
Did you?
I didn't realise he lived quite so far in the middle of nowhere.
I came from the other side, down by Dorset.
Right.
Took me 4.5 hours.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just a joke.
But it was worth it for him, for James.
Yeah, no, it was a great service.
What you got, kidder?
We got an astonishing story. We've got Isabel Oakeshott coming on. There is a full-scale immigration emergency on its way. Boris Johnson, in 2019, the year when he was elected, 188,000 people came into the country via net migration. Between 2021 and 2024, he allowed 3.8 million people in, and after 5 years, they're all about to get something called indefinite